Wondery Plus subscribers can listen to Crime and Sports early and ad-free right now. Join Wondery Plus in the Wondery app or on Apple Podcasts.
In the depths of an Atlanta forest, a clash between activists and authorities ends in tragedy. I'm Matthew Scher, and on my new podcast, We Came to the Forest, we expose the hidden truths behind a shootout that left one activist dead and countless lives forever changed. Binge all episodes of We Came to the Forest ad-free on Wondery Plus.
Welcome back to Crime and Sports.
Yay!
You got that yay right,
Yes.
Jimmy, this week. You have nailed it on the head. My name is James Petrogallo. I'm here with my co-host.
I am Jimmy Wissman.
Thank you guys so much for joining us once again on Crime and Sports.
Yes.
We're excited for this week, as we always are.
Of course.
I get so excited for this because this is just as fun to do as we hope you are. I hope you're having as much fun listening as we're having doing it always. So thank you guys so much for your iTunes reviews this week. As always, they were huge.
Yeah.
Huge this week. You guys came through. We're pushing 800 on it. And
it's crazy.
It's awesome, guys. Thank you so much for that. Everything you guys do. Also for your Patreon donations. If you haven't given an iTunes review yet, please get on there. What are you waiting for?
Do it.
Get on there. Well, you like the show. You're listening to the show. You like it, don't you?
Right.
You like the show. Get on there. Give it 5 stars.
You've been listening for how long?
Come on. Give it 5
Jesus.
stars. Tell us you're following instructions, following directions. It takes 30 seconds. No big deal. If that is not enough for you, if you're like, good God, what more can I do?
I'll tell you.
I love this show. We will tell you what you can do because we have an answer for that. You can go on patreon.com/crime and sports and you can give a donation there. There's some cool rewards. Or you can even get on PayPal. You can do a one-time donation. That's crimeandsports@gmail.com is our deal there.
You're driving our humility through the roof.
Yes, guys. Thank you so much. We can't tell you how much we appreciate it. Seriously, it's heartfelt. Like we're not
crazy.
We're not full of shit here. We're really like it's bottom of our hearts. We appreciate it. We're excited. We don't know what you see in us, but thank you for seeing it, whatever the hell it is.
We're very grateful women. That's what we are. We're going, thank you for caring about us.
Thank you. They like us. They really like us. Hope you enjoyed last week's insanity and disaster.
I sure did.
The story of Toe Nash. Hope you enjoyed that.
Did you see his autograph on that baseball card?
Yeah, it was.
He just spelled his name T-O-W.
He's
an idiot. He doesn't even know how to spell his own nickname.
Well, he's severely illiterate. We knew that.
But he spelled it like Tow Mater, the tow truck.
You should be able to spell. He never got why they were calling him that. He was just like, I don't know, man.
I drag shit around. I drag this dick around. I'm towing this dick.
I'm dragging my femur cock behind me, leaving a trail in the dirt. That's what it is. So that tonight, though, poof, guys, wow, do we have a story today?
I can't wait.
This guy, best way to describe him. Yeah. This is one of my equations. I like giving math equations here.
And they're my favorite
This is Jack Rowland Murphy.
Yeah.
This is Jack Rowland Murphy.
Yeah.
Plus
Murph the Surf.
Plus John Paul Sr., the race car driver who killed multiple women and ran and took off to exotic locations. He's still out there on the lam. I believe there's still a phone number you can call if you've seen him in the Fiji Islands or anything where he might be. Okay, so it's Jack Rowland Murphy plus John Paul Sr.
Murph the Surf was the one that slid down the Venetian blinds
and then killed women.
Stones.
Yes, and then killed women and got out and was considered a good guy.
Right.
So it's Murph the Surf plus John Paul Sr. divided by Vyacheslav Dotsik. That's what we have here.
Divided by psychopathy?
Divided by Dotsik.
Right.
That's exactly what this guy is.
So there's no, what is the word I'm looking for? Psychosis, I guess?
Oh, it's plenty of, he's got it all. Let's get into this because it's a...
There's no racism.
Wow.
That's what it is.
Oh, there's plenty. That's where Dotsik comes from. Plenty of racism.
Multiplied by then, maybe?
Oh, you have no fucking idea, Jimmy. This is just...
this equation board just got squared, I think.
This is insanity from start to finish.
Let's go.
Let's get right into our guy. It is Miklos Sandor Dora Jr.
Bet you never heard of him.
Big
and he's
fucking
a junior.
shocker.
You betcha.
Of course he's a junior. God damn it. Bet you never heard of him. Better known as Mickey Dora.
Okay.
Mickey Dora. He's a surfer.
D-O-R-A?
D-O-R-A, like the explorer.
Like the explorer.
Like the explorer. Mickey, you can see it. It's spelled alternately. He spells it Mickey like Mickey Mouse a lot of times. And then a lot of times when he thought he was cool, it was just M-I-K-I.
Oh,
That's
like
how
a
he'd
girl.
spell Mickey. Well, like, don't tell me how to spell my name.
Right.
He is anti-authority just to be anti-authority. You know what I mean? Like, he's one of those guys
just
where...
Just a contrarian all the time.
Just always a contrarian. Hates everybody. He has many nicknames. Known as the Cat is his main nickname.
D.A.
The Cat. Yeah. This is from the 60s, too. This isn't like, you know...
the original
This
Snoop.
isn't Da Brat.
Yeah.
This is the Cat from the 60s. The Gypsy Darling, Malibu Miki, Kung Boo, which I don't know what that is.
Whoa.
The Fiasco Kid.
I like Kung Boo. That's something you call your girlfriend.
Yeah, what up, Kung Boo?
When she got a Kung Fu grip.
Yeah, but it's B-U.
Oh.
And finally, the Black Knight of Surfing.
Okay.
So, and these are all, and these aren't self-given nicknames at all. These are what people call him because he's a fucking maniac.
Kung Boo because he's from Malibu. Is that what you said?
Yeah. He's the king of Malibu. They called him forever. That's why he's Malibu Mickey. He was the king of 1950s Malibu. And we're going to get into the story because it's insane, and it's a travel back in time,
California.
Right up to almost the current time, and lots of just craziness here. He was
problems down the PCH.
Oh God, that's what this episode going to be called here. Well, we'll come up with something more insulting to the subject.
Yeah.
You know, man, I'm going to come up with something worse than that. You know, so he was born on the 11th of August, 1934.
Oh my God,
so an older gentleman in Budapest, Hungary.
Oh,
he was born in. Yes, he's from Budapest. This guy, but you'd never know it because he moved.
Him and the Gabors.
That's him and the Gabors. He moved to Los Angeles with his family in 1935 when he was only 6 months old.
Oh.
So he does not remember any
not his choice.
Any Hungary nights.
Yeah.
You know, none of that shit at all.
Somebody else brought him to America and gave him a better life.
Absolutely.
And he fucked up.
Those people were Miklos Sr. and Ramona Dora. His mother, Ramona, was actually an American woman. Father Miklos is a real cultured guy.
Yeah.
He's very cultured. He was in the army, and we'll get into this in a second. He was in the army in Hungary. Yeah. He was like an officer, and he's very like cultured. He knows a lot about wine, and he knows about art.
I'm going with wine.
He knows about wine. He knows about art. He's that kind of guy. He's kind of a highfalutin kind of fella. Ramona is also a classy. She's a classy broad. This Ramona,
classy dame.
Yes, she went to Beverly Hills High actually. So I mean, she's a California girl.
Yeah,
she's a California girl. Black haired though, not a blonde. Okay. And the father was a lieutenant in the Hungarian whatever the hell.
Gotcha.
So you got that now.
Whatever the hell
here, the army or the I don't know if they have a navy
military,
over there.
Yeah.
Whatever, a bunch of guys that sit in a hole and wait to be taken over. The first fucking. I don't think Hungary's known for their military presence, really.
They're much of a powerhouse when it comes to military might.
Not at all. So Miki is introduced to surfing by his father in the 1930s. Okay. His father, as soon as he got there, started surfing.
Really?
Yeah. His father said he wasn't any good at it, but he thought it was fun to just dick around on the water. But the second his son got out there at 4 years old, he was a natural.
Do that. It's so fucking scary.
Immediately a natural. He said he just had balance, and he was just. It was like young. He was made for it. He was 4. When you start anything when you're 4, you know you're going to get into it. And they lived by the beach, and they went there all the time. There's an interview with his father where someone comes in and there's photos of him, and they show a photo of Miki at 6 years old holding a surfboard in 1940, saying this was his first day on this one beach, and. It's really interesting, though, that he was doing this in the 30s. And surfing wasn't a thing in the 30s and 40s. It was people did it in Hawaii.
Yeah.
And, that was pretty much it. It just wasn't a thing. There was no culture. There was no movies. There was no Beach Boys. None of that shit existed.
Is he Hey Mickey, You're So Fine? Is that the guy?
No, he is not the guy that's Hey Mickey, You're So Fine.
They didn't write that about him?
I don't think so. It's possible.
Right.
It's possible. But they would have had to put an asshole. I didn't hear any lyrics like asshole, dickhead, you stole all my shit.
Yeah.
You're why'd you do that? Why'd you knock up my sister and then steal my wallet and leave? That would have been more of a lyrics that he would have been here.
Inspired.
Yeah, so the father said, quote, I took Miki to the Cove for his first surf at age 4. So that's 4. That's wild, 4. But it's interesting. Now, his parents divorced when he's 6, and then they remarry, and then they divorce again. So this is kind of tough on Miki, this whole
we do,
back
we
and
don't
forth
thing?
And back and forth. Yeah, that's
weird.
Imagine that if you're a kid, your parents get divorced, which sucks, and then they get remarried, which is the ultimate dream of the divorced kid. Is your parents get remarried, and you're like, "Oh my God, everything's whole again," and they're like, "No, we changed our minds. We quit. We quit. This isn't going to work out. No, we tried again, but it's still your fault, honey. Yes, we're very sorry." So the mother Ramona, she does not spend a lot of time with him. She doesn't. He's mainly raised by his grandmother. He went to military school, actually, because his father went to military school. That's the reason why his father sent him. He didn't send him as a punishment or you're being bad, I'm going to send you to military school.
You got to follow in Dad's footsteps.
No, it wasn't even that. His dad liked military school when he was a kid. He liked military stuff, so he's like, I think Miki would like it too. He'd have fun in there. So they just sent him. It was wild. Yeah, he had a hands-on father. His father was trying. They put him in boarding schools and military academies and all that sort of thing. His father left the country from 48 to 53, so his father wasn't even around. But it didn't matter because Miki was so into surfing, he didn't care. Okay. He also was really into food and art and wine, and he liked to play tennis also. He was into that, but surfing was his thing. That was it. And he was a classy guy, too. He dressed real nice when all the other surfers didn't and shit like that. Like, he was a different kind of a character. His mother is said to be very doting on him and love him a lot, but she was also extremely narcissistic and very irresponsible and a heavy drinker also. So that's the other thing. A girlfriend of Miki later on said, quote, Miki felt his birth had been an accident, that his beautiful, exotic, unattainable mother hadn't wanted him, and he was in deep pain about it.
What?
That's what she said.
Oh, she said, okay.
Yeah,
I was like, I hope he didn't say that.
No, an ex-girlfriend
That's weird to say
that.
About your mom. No, she's beautiful and unattainable.
Unattainable. She said, quote, I think this was her psychological evaluation of the whole thing. She said, quote, he was deeply drawn to his mother, and he was always trying to get her to recognize and love him. Okay. So, I mean, she was always kind of doing something else. Yeah. And it was kind of, hey, what the hell?
Well, it makes sense that a guy from Hungary that loves booze and wine, and his mom loves booze, that they had a drunken fuck, and that created you.
That happens. Well, they were also married and divorced and married again and all that. Yeah. So she's busy trying to find another husband, because back then, if you have a child and you're a woman and you're divorced, you better latch on to somebody quick. This isn't like now where it's like, hey, you go out and, you
make it happen.
You make it happen, go get a career going and all that. This was...
Back then, you go and find a guy that beats you less and
this was, or more, just whatever, as long as he pays the bills, I think it was back then, unfortunately, for these fucking women. Now, she ends up finding and marrying a man named Gard Chapin. Okay. Gard Chapin or Chapin, he's from Hollywood. He is... like the best surfer in California in the 30s and 40s.
Really?
He's a top-level surfer of California. He's
What's
like the
name?
number one guy. Gard Chapin.
Chapin.
His
first name is Gard?
Gard, G-A-R-D.
Okay.
Gard.
What a terrible name.
That's an awful name, Gard Chapin. Outside of Hawaii, if you were, a big surfer, if you were the best surfer in California, that meant you were the best surfer in the world outside of Hawaii, because that was the only place people were even surfing. They said that Chapin would angle harder than anybody. They said that everybody thinks he probably invented the cutback. Oh. Which is when they, swerve
turn
back.
Turn around and come back and hit the wave again.
Yeah, they do that thing. They said it was probably him that invented it. A former regular down there, surfer, said, quote, he was fantastic. He'd drop his knee to the deck of his board, twist his body, then just whip the thing around. Nobody else could do it. He'd be going north, drop that leg, then he'd be going south.
And you're talking about a board that's fucking enormous.
Oh, enormous and heavy and everything else. These are the big-ass longboards.
It's made of wood.
Yeah, until the late 60s, and God, I know way more about surfing than I ever wanted to, but until the late 60s, these were giant longboards.
Ridiculous.
And then they went to short boards in the 60s,
when
late 60s.
When they had like a pointed tip now that are made of fiberglass. Back then, it was fucking wood, and it was rounded, and it had 3 or 4 fins on it.
And you'd have to get one in Hawaii, because that's the only place where so literally, they'd be like, a guy brought one in from Hawaii, let's look at it. And they'd all take turns. That's what it was, man. They said that Chapin was tall, handsome, funny, loud, also very anxiety-ridden, a lot of ulcers. He was an ulcered person.
He's scared of sharks out there. I would have a shitload of ulcers.
Well, probably because he's a massive alcoholic is the other reason why he's drinking away the lining of his stomach. Yeah. Super abusive. Had a temper. Everybody said he'd go from 0 to 60 in 2 seconds. Like one time, as an example of this, some neighbors on the 4th of July were celebrating what he thought was too loudly. So what he did was, normally you'd go over and you'd say, hey guys, hey, I'm going to keep it down a little. You may peek your head over the fence. No, he got a shotgun and fired a couple load of buckshot over their heads to scare them. Not into the air. He in their direction over their heads going, keep it down, assholes.
By the way, that shotgun's much louder than what they were doing.
Fuck yeah. You want to hear loud, assholes? Boom. Now keep it down or I'll be louder.
And here's another one for good measure.
And this is in the city. This isn't like in the middle of nowhere. Yeah. This is in Hollywood. Yeah. Like you can't be firing off buckshot in the middle of L.A. and in a half-decent neighborhood. That's not all right. Another time, he gets super drunk.
Of course he does.
Oh, man. Gets Miki in the car with him. takes him downtown.
Yeah.
He's shit-faced, gets out of the car, gets a baseball bat from the back seat, and starts going around up and down the entire block because they just installed parking meters, bashing them all with a baseball bat, taking them out, screaming, quote, communism is taking over. Communism is taking over.
Dad's a fun guy.
Oh, yeah. He said to Miki, he said, quote, Miki, these bastards want to control everything. Now they want to make us pay money to park on the street. And they're just bashing him. And Miki was like, holy shit.
He's
like,
a
what is
great
going
guy.
on? Yeah, but he took this as an example, Miki.
Yeah.
He was like, okay, you get pissed off at the man, you lash out, you scream, you yell, you bash shit with a bat. Okay, I get it.
And shoot shotguns.
And shoot shotguns over people's heads. Like, this is his example of a person who, this is a,
Yeah, that's how you lead your life.
You're taking your cue from this guy, which is wild. Now, at this point, too, he's surfing and he's a teenager and he's a badass in the scene. And when people ask him his name, he uses Chapin.
Really?
He'll use his name is Mickey Chapin is what he'll use all the time.
That's the stepdad.
Well, yeah, because the stepdad is a legendary surfer in the area.
Yeah.
So when he goes to the beach and they say, "What's your name?" and he's like, "Oh, I'm Mickey Chapin," and they're like, "Oh shit, he's the first second generation surfer there."
Okay.
So he gets mad respect, and it's kind of one of those things.
You're the kid of that guy that beats the shit out of parking meters?
Yeah. Oh, cool. Yeah, that's awesome, dude. Yeah, here you got a bunch of quarters or nickels or whatever they used back then.
How's
pennies.
your stomach lining?
Yeah. So is he still pounding the sauce or what's he doing? Beat your mom lately?
Yeah.
Okay. But Mickey's just a great surfer, and it's just nature. Guard, Chapin, his stepdad, shaped him a board. Mm-hmm. He made him a board that would work perfect for him. Took him on weekend trips to San Onofre. San Onofre? I don't know what that is, but
Never been.
Also, he taught him his style of riding waves, which was aggressive and just ballsy and aggressive and attack the wave and all that kind of shit. It wasn't like, hey, just try to stay up.
Yeah.
He said, you get in there, you make that wave your bitch. You make it like a parking meter.
Yeah.
The wave doesn't cooperate. You get a baseball bat, you go and you hit the wave with the baseball bat.
You treat it like a loud party.
You treat it like a loud party or a wife that's a little lippy. Either one. That's how you treat it. So he basically got both sides. Mickey gets both sides. He gets the kind of a worldly sophistication, the wine and the art. And he gets that from his father, and he gets this rebellious, insane streak from his stepdad.
Does he have an accent like his parents?
No, he doesn't. He was 6 months old. 6 months old when he was born here. So he's just got like this weird 40s, 50s California accent that's kind of strange.
I know people that just grew up around people from other countries and they talk like idiots.
His dad wasn't there. Yeah,
like idiots.
Like idiots. His dad wasn't there very much either. So he speaks perfect English.
So he talks like Guard.
It's mainly like, bro, dude.
Yeah. I'm sure.
Like that.
That shit.
Yeah, these are the guys that came up with all of this surf shit. Like all the hacky cliche, like, hey, daddy-o and shit like that. These are the guys who made all these words up.
We blame this fuck.
Yeah, they invented Gidget, as a matter of fact.
Really?
We'll get into that in a minute, too. But yeah.
The TV show?
The TV show movie, that comes from these guys.
Wow.
Which is, we'll tell you how the origin of that started.
And now the goddamn dog name.
Everybody
that's got a tiny dog, they name it fucking Gidget.
Yeah, that's really annoying. Yeah, I don't know why that is either.
Knock it off, people.
We have in their own words about his upbringing with the two fathers here. In their own words, quote, my father taught me a gracious way of living, while my stepfather showed me how to survive. One showed me how to atone for indiscretions, and the other demonstrated how to commit them. So he's saying, like, my dad was nice to me, taught me all the good things, and this guy taught me to be an asshole.
Yeah.
And so I'm an asshole now. Now, he has a friend that he hangs out with, grows up with. It's from the late 40s. They hang out and surf, and just kind of his beach bum partner named Tube Steak.
Get the fuck out of here. He nicknamed himself a slang term for a dick.
And he's still alive.
What?
And the man is 70 years old, 70, 80 years old.
Still goes by Tube Steak.
He will only answer to Tube Steak. He will not. That's why I didn't even write down his name, because I'm like, what does it matter? He's just Tube Steak. When a guy's Tube Steak, he's fucking Tube Steak, man. What do you say? Which Tube Steak came from back then. If you were a show off, they called you a hot dog.
Right.
They called him a hot dog, which is slang for that was Tube Steak.
And now is what people call your dick.
So now he's Dick. So Tube Steak said, quote, guard, you like Tube Steak, don't you?
What an idiot.
The best part is we're going to be talking to Tube Steak like all the time.
The second it turns into a slang term for your dick, you drop it forever.
Bad.
Forever.
People still call themselves Dick.
That's true.
Never mind Tube Steak. They say, I'm Dick. Okay. Great. Good for you. So, I mean, if people still call themselves Dick, there's really no hope for there's no hope for a stopping of penis-themed nicknames. It's not going to happen. Sorry, it's just not. Femur
Dick
cock
is
tube
horrible,
steak.
though. Why would you?
People do it.
You go by Richie. That's your nickname.
How bad is that?
That's
Richie,
right.
You can even get Rick out of Richard.
Yeah.
Call yourself Rick. That's kind of cool if you're in the 80s. Who cares? It's not better than Dick.
Don't take Dick.
So let's see what Tube Steak had to say.
That's good advice, too.
Don't take Dick from anybody. If anyone offers you Dick, you say no.
No.
You say no, and you tell an adult.
And if an adult named you Richard, what about somebody?
Run away.
There's somebody out there whose name is legally Dick. Like it's not. It's
they didn't even name him Richard. Like, let's name him Dick. Okay, and they didn't know that Richard was the name.
Yeah.
His name is just Dick, and he can't get away with it. He's like, fuck.
That's horrible.
What do you do if your name's Dick? Like your name is Jimmy. You have no options.
You fucking change it. That's what you do.
You don't have my name is James, so I can go by James, Jimmy. You're Jimmy. That's it. You're fucked. You can't even have James. You're just Jimmy.
I'm being very hypocritical right now because Jimmy was a cool nickname until Snoop Dogg came around and started calling condoms Jimmy hats, which now your dick's a Jimmy.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, but it's only in the context of if there's a condom on it.
Yeah.
That's it. Otherwise, I don't say get your Jimmy out. I've never heard that before.
I'm gonna suck your Jimmy.
Yeah, never heard that
before,
ever. Thankfully, good.
No woman's ever said that.
Don't start that, please.
Never.
So,
please don't.
Without further ado, let's hear what Tube Steak had to say, shall we? Because we all want to hear from a grown man named Tube Steak. So, Tube Steak said, quote, "Man, Guard Chapin was a notorious drunk. Miki seemed afraid of him. One day, Miki and I drove to Guard's house. Miki wanted money. I'm sitting in the car. I hear yelling, screaming, banging. Miki comes running out, and Guard's chasing him, throwing something at him. I think Guard's violence had a big effect on him. Yeah. So he kept him like kind of
on edge.
Up. Yeah, on edge. Exactly. That would be the best way to put it. On edge. Right. If this guy's constantly beating you, and you never know if he's going to whip a baseball bat out.
Are you still hanging out with people named Tube Steak? I will beat your ass.
Well, you never know when he's going to whip a baseball bat out and start beating the shit out of municipal property also, which is very fucking scary. You're like, what happened?
Yeah, he's breaking government shit. He clearly doesn't give a fuck about you.
He's going to go attack the statue out in front of the courthouse or some other inanimate object that did nothing to him.
Right.
He's going to freak. So Miki attends Hollywood High, goes to Hollywood High School. He skips class just a shitload to go surfing because he's like, let's get out of here. Go surfing. What do you say? Sure, like Tube Steak's up for it. What the fuck does he have to do?
It's like the blonde girl in Back to, what was that? Was that Summer School? Remember that? She's always staring out the window.
That's what it is. Yeah, man.
What a good movie.
That is a good movie.
It's an 80s movie.
It's another 80s movie. We need to refer. I was trying to not say it, but I'm like, no, that's our 80s movie we're going to be talking about this week. It's goddamn Summer School.
What a good movie. All right, go on.
So the footage, by the way, so I started watching footage because on YouTube, there's a fuckload of footage of Miki Dora surfing in the 50s and early 60s. I mean, the film 16 millimeter because there was a guy going around making for surf films. And he made all these surf films. He ended up making The Endless Summer, which is a very famous surf film that they still release it once in a while in like IMAX and shit. It's a crazy, they went around the world surfing for one summer, finding the biggest wave.
God, your arm must have been so exhausted. But that isn't that when they had to do that?
No, I don't think they had the crank then. No. But it was still a shitty film. But I watched so much of this shit to see him. Guys, I can't begin to tell you how much 1960 surf music I endured. Holy fuck. It's the same guitar riff.
Really?
And then they figure out something. Is
that Dick Dale?
They all sound like that. That Dick Dale song. Every song sounds exactly fucking like that.
Everybody that back then was named Dick somehow.
My goddamn ear. Everybody. Tube Steak. This is Dick. This is fucking femur cock. My ears were bleeding from this goddamn surf music. I watched hours of this and it's every one, and they'll start a new song, and I'm like, maybe this will be different. I'm like, fuck, no.
If it's not Dick Dale, it's that Wipeout song.
God damn it. There's a shit. That's a big genre with tons of bands that all sound exactly like that. Exactly the same. So I'm watching him surf. Patreon.com/crime and sports for enduring that shit. You watch fucking 2 hours of surf music. Good goddamn luck with that shit.
And those bad bikinis.
Oh, man. So he looked so casual on a surfboard.
Really?
He looked like there was nothing. Like if you just put a piece of cardboard down on the ground and said, stand on that. And you just look like, sure, I'm standing on it. Now what? Like that's what he was looking like on a board while he was on top of a wave.
Wow.
Just like this is nothing.
Yeah.
I guess that's what comes from when you do something from the time you're 4.
Yeah.
You're, whatever.
You're pretty good at it.
Yeah, I would think so. So he's surfing a lot. He's holding actual jobs at this point in time in his early 20s intermittently. Right. He's a parking lot attendant. He works in a restaurant called...
He's a parking lot attendant?
He's a parking lot attendant. He's a valet.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
He's a valet at the brand new Beverly Hilton Hotel, which was brand new at this point. It was in the 50s. This was brand spanking new. Also on Sunset Boulevard, an upscale restaurant called Frischetti. He worked as a he worked there, and he also worked as a delivery boy for a wine distributor. Wow. So he's doing shit that you do when you're 21 or whatever.
But he's doing it in the best, most fun place on earth.
And he's surfing. The climate's beautiful. Yeah. But surfing, it takes over his life to a degree that it's not compatible with having a life where you do something besides surfing. Yeah. Because all he cares about is, well, what if there's a wave and I'm at work? Then what the fuck am I going to do? Yeah. Like, that's not going to happen.
And
he's
like
so
far inland in that area, too.
Yeah, he's like a comedian, this guy. He's like, well, I can't get a real job because then what if I have to go on the road?
What if I get mic time?
Yeah, well, then what if someone offers me to go on the road? Then what am I going to do? Because then I have to quit that job anyway. I'll just work at Circle K. Right. It's fine. I'll just work at 7-Eleven. No worries. I'll just drive Uber. I'll just drive Lyft. I'll just fucking, I'll make everybody suffer. It's fine.
I'll get through and waste all this time in my life.
I have no talent. I'll never get anywhere, but still, I'm going to do this for me, because I need to do it.
This is my time.
It makes me feel better. This is my time. Yeah. It's kind of like when like a woman gets her real estate license, except there's no actual money in this. It's the same type of thing. Like it's the same type of thing that men do when they're for some reason.
And those jobs are so far away from the beach. Like
he's
Hollywood,
like, come on.
You think about Hollywood. If you're somewhere else in the country or in the world, you think that like the beach, the fucking like the beautiful palm, beach. Nowhere fucking. It's 20 miles away from a beach.
Yeah, you're not near the beach in Hollywood. If the shit is different, there's the beach and then there's the rest of LA. It's a different thing completely.
Right.
In the 1980s, a rosé swept the country.
Hey, Mike, I really like this White Zinfandel.
Well, good. Now put it down. I'm going to try another one.
White Zin became America's top-selling wine. But most don't know that this sweet drink has a sour history. What began in 1986 with counterfeit bottles...
A big fraud, a multi-million-dollar fraud.
Sent investigators chasing one of the most powerful families in the business, the Licciardis. But the closer the feds got to them, the more dangerous things became. It's a story of deceit.
At the time, I was paranoid.
Threats.
You touch my kids, I will kill you.
And murder.
With a .22 caliber bullet to the head.
What started with a scheme to mislabel wine spilled into a blood-soaked battle for succession. Welcome to Bloodvines. You can binge listen to Bloodvines exclusively and ad-free on Wondery Plus. Join Wondery Plus in the Wondery app, Apple Podcasts, or Spotify.
A few miles from the glass spires of Midtown Atlanta lies the South River Forest. In 2021 and 2022, the woods became a home to activists from all over the country who gathered to stop the nearby construction of a massive new police training facility, nicknamed Cop City.
At approximately 9 o'clock this morning, as law enforcement was moving through various sectors of the property, an individual, without warning, shot a Georgia State Patrol trooper.
This is We Came to the Forest, a story about resistance.
The abolitionist mission isn't done until every prison is empty and shut down.
Love and fellowship.
It was probably the happiest I've ever been in my life.
And the lengths we'll go to protect the things we hold closest to our hearts. Follow We Came to the Forest on the Wondery app or wherever you get your podcasts. You can binge all episodes of We Came to the Forest early and ad-free right now by joining Wondery Plus.
And now back to the show.
But he's not making a living now. He stops really working jobs for the most part. He starts pretty much existing on handouts from friends and also supporters, people that come to watch him surf.
He's a comedian.
That's what he is. No, that's what I mean. And I'm saying this.
It mirrors it so much.
I'm saying this now as a foreshadow for later when things are really like a comedian. Like now it's just like, oh, he's kind of like a guy. Later on you're like, is this guy a fucking, like, seriously, did he have a mic at any point? Like he would have been a comedian now. Like he would have said, fuck surfing. This is the only thing that I can be so miserable at and it'll be better.
He's parking cars literally 200 feet from the fucking Comedy Store at this point.
That's it, man. That's the thing. Yeah, that's true.
It's right there.
It's right there. So yeah, but it's people are giving him, like, they hand him a few bucks. They let him stay in a guest room at their house to give, feed him a couple meals here and there. Also, this is the point where he begins to shoplift and just take shit.
Because he doesn't have the money.
Not only that, he gets off on it.
Oh.
He's audacious. He likes to do things where he's like, this, I could get caught really easily, and it's only a pack of gum, so I'm really not getting anything out of it, but I'm doing it anyway.
All right.
Even though if I got caught, it'd be way worse for me than the benefit of getting a pack of gum.
Right.
Doesn't matter. Got to do it because this is me.
Yeah.
Like, that's fucking ridiculous. So he does all of this. He even convinces the surfboard manufacturers to give him as many boards as they want. Which he would
just because he's who he is.
Yeah, he'd be like, I'm really good, and everybody comes to watch me on the beach. So you should give me your board, and then people like see I'm using your board, which he would use like 3 times and then sell them to people.
So smart.
So he would just get them from the manufacturer, and he'd end up selling them off for more than they would have sold them for because it's his board.
Because he put his feet on it.
Yeah, so it's fucking hilarious. So this is his first kind of scam that he's running.
That's a great hustle,
and it's a good hustle. It's not bad. And also too, at this point in the 50s, friends are saying that like he writes up all this like elaborate shit, like this investment stuff. Like, hey, let's do this investment, and we'll do this, and you have to put money in here, and I'll put money in here. But like in the end, like because they have these letters now that he wrote, and in the end, like all of the terms were very favorable to him. Like he was still scamming everybody all the time, trying to get over on anybody possible.
Hilarious.
Absolutely, he would do that. He'd also shake down like young surfers.
Really?
Like young kids that looked up to him, like teenagers would come and he'd be like, yeah, blah, 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 give me $5. You know what I mean? Like,
really?
Yeah, he could come, why don't you come? Yeah, I'll tell you all about that. You give me $5. I need $5 to get over here, and then I'll tell you all about it. He would just do this shit. Yeah, you should.
Comics are like,
you should.
Comics are like, how do you get on the stage there?
How do you do that podcast and blah, blah, blah. Just be like, come with me. You got $5? Yeah, it's a little more now. It's not going to be $5. But he'd shake them down, and they thought it was cool. Yeah. You know what I mean? There's a writer-director named John Milius who he started making surf films, and he said, quote, Miki had a tremendous influence on us as surfers. Everybody tried to surf like him and have his grace and his style and cool.
Okay.
He had this cool style, too, like he rode like with his one arm kind of up in the air, like his front arm up in the air, which people didn't really do back then. That's from him.
Like a rodeo cowboy?
Kind of, yeah. And that's he started doing that.
Okay.
And people started imitating that in the 60s. Everybody started doing it because it was him, and he got that from his stepfather. Okay. That's how he rode. So he took his style from his stepfather, then everybody tried to take it from him, and he gets super pissed off when anybody imitates his style, just like a comedian.
Put your hand down.
Wait till you hear what he says. He thinks he's like a comedian. It's hilarious. So,
he's like Michael Jordan with his tongue out, and he's like...
Pretty much.
That'd be Michael Jordan going to all the rec leagues around the country and saying, put your tongue back in your mouth.
Put your tongue back in your mouth. That's my thing. Exactly. Yeah. So 1955, Miki and Tube Steak... Yes, Miki and Tube Steak. Isn't that amazing?
It's never going to stop being funny to me.
The rest of the sentence is even funnier because Miki and Tube Steak, you'd figure, do something stupid, or right. Miki and Tube Steak jerk each other off or something like that. Miki and Tube Steak got clerical jobs at Home Insurance Company in downtown L.A. You didn't expect that one, did you?
What's your name, son? I'm Tube Steak.
No, thank you for calling Home Insurance Company. Tube Steak speaking. How can I help you? How may I direct your call? This is Tube Steak. You were or how about the other people who were in? You were speaking to a representative yesterday. Which one? Oh, Tube Steak. Let me find out. Tube Steak. Please come to the phone. So they get unbelievable. So they get a.
I'm gonna get a dog and name it Tube Steak.
You should. This is my boy Tube Steak. So. They work there, and this is the time they describe it as, too, like him and Tube Steak both describe it as, this is like Jack Webb Dragnet L.A. This is like 50s L.A., all the men wore hats. This is like just before that broke.
All right.
This is that era, so it's kind of neat. Tube Steak? Tube Steak getting you, Jimmy?
I can't. It's so immature and so stupid, and I fucking can't stop.
It's an 80-year-old man that wants to be called Tube Steak. How can you not laugh at that? I don't understand it at all.
Let it go, old man.
You're not. Just call yourself John, okay? So now Miki and Tube Steak are working at the insurance company.
Of course they are.
You figure they're going to get promotions, right?
Yeah, Tube
Steak's
going to be... He's got business cards and everything.
Tube Steak's going to be managing that floor in no time, right? Shockingly, they get fired, both of them, for coming in late pretty much every day
with sand in their shoes.
Dripping with salt water and having sand all over them. And they would be doing their thing and literally dripping water and sand onto their work.
They're standing on their desk going, what if we did this? What if we did this.
Shut up, tube steak.
I think the best way to ride the board is like this, and then they're doing their fucking stuff in the office.
Like, can you do insurance shit, please? Please?
Can you sell a policy?
For fuck's sake, one of you fucking do some math, or I don't know. There's a chart. Do something.
Figure out why.
Just you move your pencil. Make it look like you're busy. There's no computers back then. So at this point, they're like, what do we do? Well, let's just hang out in Malibu. And Malibu was not what it is now.
No.
Now Malibu is where movie stars have, like, you know, embedded movie, like Oscar-winning movie stars have giant $30 million homes and all that.
Sections of beach that you can't enter.
Yeah, this was basically a house here, a house there, and just beach and
palm trees and beautiful shit.
Like you could still park on the side of the highway to go down to the beach
awesome.
back then.
Yeah.
Like that's how other time this was. So what Tube Steak did is, and this is in Malibu, they would tase him in 12 seconds when he started doing this now. He built a shack on the sand from telephone poles and palm fronds.
What?
That's what he built. It's what he built for himself. So he just said, fuck it, I'm going to build myself a Gilligan's Island shanty, second Gilligan's Island reference, a Gilligan's Island shanty shack on this beach, and just park it here. And everyone went, that's cool.
Yeah.
No problem.
I was thinking Tom Hanks and Castaway.
No. They would shoot him if he tried that. The first time he picked up a palm fronds and tried to lean it against a piece of a telephone pole, they would shoot buckshot over his head like the other guy.
There's no telephone poles on the beach, so he had to go knock down some poles and bring it down to the beach.
Chop them up and bring them there. Insane.
That's ridiculous.
Miki would be living at his grandmother's house and through his early 20s, kind of up until about 1960. So he would commute from his grandmother's house down to there and hang out down to
Tube Steak's
Chateau Tube Steak, where they would Chez Tube Steak, where they would then surf from the beach. Tube Steak recalls. Let's get a Tube Steak quote, shall we? I love Tube Steak's quote, man. Tube Steak said, quote, we'd burn tires on the beach for warmth and no one cared.
What?
We'd knock on doors and ask people to let us surf their private beaches, and they'd let us. With 18-cent cheeseburgers, cheap gasoline, and $3 an hour jobs at Safeway loading fruit from 4 to 7 a.m., you could be a surf bum.
Wow.
So you could survive. You could work a 3-hour shift from 4 to 7 a.m. for $3 an hour, and that would buy you
everything you need.
Everything you need. You got a shack on the beach.
Tire fires. That's how they're staying warm. With a fucking tire fire.
They built a shack and burned tires in Malibu on the beach, and everyone's like,
Brad
no
Pitt
problem.
If that's okay now.
That's cool. Yeah, no worries.
Angelina Jolie will have you arrested.
That sounds like a great life if you're 20 years old and you just live for the ocean. That sounds
amazing.
Like the fucking dream, man. Now,
18-cent cheeseburgers, James.
18 cents. And gas was cheap as shit. Get a cup of coffee for a nickel. It was a fucking great time for that shit.
Dairy Queen's cheeseburgers were 18 cents.
Oh, man. As long as you weren't black, it's a dream time to be. If you were black or if you had any sort of conscience about how people should be treated, not so fantastic. But otherwise, just for this.
The 30s were amazing.
Decent. This is the 50s. The 50s. So one of the women that hung around there, and someone we'll talk to later, but I don't want to quite introduce her yet, she said about Miki, this is how he would be. He said, and when we'd go to the movies together, he'd sneak in an intermission without paying. And when we went skiing at Mount Baldy, he'd walk up the mountain rather than paying for a chairlift.
Wow.
So he can't do anything by the book.
No.
Even if he doesn't have to, he has to scam.
Absolutely.
He just has to. It's just in his fucking nature.
Why pay the money when you can just do it this way?
It's in his nature. It's like the guys with the John Douglas Mindhunter FBI profiler guy arrested a gambler. They did a big Super Bowl gambling crackdown in the 70s, and he's sitting in the back seat with the guy. I told the story once before, and he says, you know, you're a smart guy. You can do more. Like what you tell Julia Roberts when she's a prostitute. Like, you seem like a smart girl. They said, you're a smart guy. You could do more. Like, why are you doing this? Why can't we make you stop doing this? And it was raining out, and the guy pointed at 2 drops of water on the window, and he said, see those 2 drops? Which one do you think will get to the bottom? He goes, you can't stop it. He goes, you could take away every sporting event in the world.
There.
We'll bet on that. It's just we have to bet. It has nothing to do with the event.
No.
We'll bet on that.
It's
fucking
just
raindrops. And that's what this guy is. It has nothing to do with what he's getting.
It's just built into him.
He just needs the rush of that's what he does. He scams. It's just his fucking thing. Now, Chapin, Guard Chapin, the stepfather, in 1957, he dies. This messes up Miki a lot. Even though the guy beat him and everything else, he was still his father figure now, and he was the guy he was looking up to and his surf idol and all this shit. And it was a mysterious death, actually. We'll get into this here. Chapin, what they say, he gets in a car accident in 1947. And his life kind of hits the shits after that. He's injured and he's not doing well. Guard Chapin. After the accident, it takes him about a year of convalescence to get his shit together.
Really?
He was injured pretty bad, and they don't have the technology they have now to fix you up after that. No. So
and those cars too. When you get in a car accident, one of those cars, it hurts.
It hurts. Yeah, there's no seatbelt. You were flying through the windshield or impaling the steering wheel.
And if there was a seatbelt, you weren't wearing it because there was no law for it.
This is the 47. There was not even. They didn't even think of seatbelts until the 50s.
Your body absorbed all the energy because the car wasn't built.
You hit the steering wheel. Right. That's what it was. I remember the early 50s. They introduced steering wheels that like when you pushed, they pushed. They gave like 3 inches. They're like, that ought to do it.
That'll do it. That'll save your sternum and rib cage.
Problem solved. Drive faster. Can we raise speed limits? Can we do that? Is that possible?
Cars are safe now.
Yeah, let's put some more horsepower in there.
Also, too, those cars, they were all steel. Like they were meant to like hit shit and like bounce off and be fine. Yeah. Like, you didn't have to do much body work.
No, you didn't. It was just like, bang it out. It's steel.
It'll be all right.
Yeah.
But when your car doesn't take the impact, something else does, and it's the only thing left is you.
Right in the steering wheel.
Yeah.
And right through the windshield.
Or a steel dash.
Yeah. That was the thing. The best thing you could hope for would be to drive into the steering wheel, because otherwise you were going through the windshield and out into the street. So that's a little better. So after this car accident, he loses his job. Mm-hmm. He was a cabinet maker and like a maker. He was like a fine. Ouch. He made really well put. He made surfboards.
He had a craft.
He was a good craftsman. He made wood things. The marriage breaks up with Miki's mom. Yeah. So what Guard does, drives down to La Paz, Mexico at the end of 57 to go skin diving. Whatever that is. I don't know what skin diving is.
Skin diving, is that just with a suit and no apparatus?
I don't know what it is.
I think that's what it is.
Anyway, he gets really drunk one night, Guard. Gets hammered at dinner. He goes out in a dinghy and says he's going to row out to a friend's boat was his thing, and he was going to go out there and hang out. And he was missing for 5 days. And then finally, at the end of 5 days, his body was discovered floating in the bay.
Wow.
So they don't know if he was just drunk and fell out of the boat or if there was foul play.
Yeah.
It's all very mysterious. And Miki thinks that, in Miki's mind, there's no way this guy's going to fucking drown. He doesn't care how drunk he is. This guy is like, a fish, basically. Right. Like, he's not going to drown. So Miki is he's just a little bit, upset about it, and he never quite gets over the whole thing.
That's what it is, by the way. Skin diving is just it's you have fins and such, and just like a goggle, but no apparatus for breathing. It's not scuba because there's no
self-contained underwater breathing apparatus.
You get it. So that's what it is.
Okay, well that makes sense.
Skin diving is free diving.
All right. So, and later on in 1969, Miki would give an interview where he talked about Chapin, and what he said there is he said, quote, "A unique surfing frontiersman who had a profound influence on my life." He said also at this point, in the 60s, he drops the Chapin from his name and he just goes by Miki Dora.
Really?
'Cause he was going by Miki Chapin Dora for a while. Like he was using Chapin as like a middle name, and then he just dropped it altogether. And he said he felt bad about that later on too, which is strange. Now, a friend of his who was a Malibu surfer and kind of a friend of his named Bob Cooper said that after Chapin's death, he, quote, never saw Miki laugh spontaneously again. Never a belly laugh. An amused laugh maybe, or a constructed laugh, but never just a let it all hang out laugh.
What a miserable life.
So, yeah, he just basically lost all his joy at that moment in
time. He's no Wissman.
No, he's no Wissman. Greg Knoll, who we'll talk a lot about, who ends up making his Decat surfboard, which it's a legendary surfboard that's still legendary.
Okay.
He's kind of a legendary guy, Greg Knoll. He said, quote, "When Guard died, it seemed like Miki made a sharp left turn," which he did. Because now he's had all these little scams and shit like that and the cutesy things. But now he starts getting ballsy with things and just treats... Wait till you get into some of this shit. It's wild. He keeps surfing. Miki goes all over the world, somehow gets money to go all over the world. People support him. People believe in him. He just basically, they go over to find the best waves. That's what it is.
Everywhere.
And once in a while, he'll do a competition too, and we'll find out his thoughts on competitions in a little bit. But
$9 a day, he figured out how to do this?
Yeah, no. People are giving him money. He's not
just robbing people.
He's
blind.
not working. You kidding me?
Okay.
No, you kidding me? This guy's not working for shit. So he goes there. He goes to Hawaii because they have the biggest waves in Hawaii. They're known as the tallest waves there. This is the thing about him. He does not hang out on the beach after surfing or unless he's surfing.
Really?
He doesn't do it. The only time you'll see him either not in the water is if he's just resting up to go back out.
Really?
Otherwise, he's not hanging out at the beach. He might kill a little time. He'll go wander over and talk to the guys for a minute, but then he'll go back by himself. and he's just not really interested in the whole social aspect of just hanging out at the beach with these people. He says, when there's surf, I'm totally committed. When there's none, it doesn't exist. That's what he's talking about the beach. He's like, there's no surf. The beach is bullshit, and I don't care about it.
I mean,
that sounds familiar. Who does that sound like, comedian-wise?
If the comedy club's not open, I'm not coming.
No, but you're not. If you're not on, you'll still go hang out.
Yeah.
If I'm not on, you won't catch me within 20 miles of that fucking place, and you know it because I'm not going hanging out with people.
Every headline
I don't give a fuck
is.
about you people. I don't care. I don't care about any of you. I'm going to hang out with you. I don't want to do it. I'm there only if I have to be, and that's what he does too. And if he's there, it's great, and he's into it. But if not, reminded me, I was kindred spirit with this guy when it comes to that. I was like, that sounds like me with comedy. Like I might go over and talk to people for a while, but then I'm going to go out by myself, and you can find me if you want to hang out with me.
Let me know when I'm almost on.
Yeah, that's fine. That's perfect.
Let me know when I'm next.
Exactly. Now, he goes to the North Shore, like I said, for these waves in Hawaii.
That was big thing. Yeah, I was thinking, what's the beach there? It's North Shore.
Yeah, North Shore. And this was when it was first. I mean, it was
the boomtown of it.
There's nobody there. It was just the locals.
Oh.
And then he would come in and
nobody even knew?
Well, I mean, no, surfing wasn't a big thing. Unless you were really into surfing, you didn't surf. There was no casual surfers. It was like either you had that lifestyle or you didn't. Yeah. That was it. It was one of those things.
So pipeline is that?
Guys would come in, I'm not sure.
Okay.
We have an in their own words on the North Shore deal. In their own words, quote, I was one of the first 20 or 15 that rode the North Shore. I don't know. Doesn't make any difference to me who's the best in the world, who's the worst in the world. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a damn. If people think I'm any good, fine. If they don't think I'm any good, I don't give a shit. I'm there to ride waves and enjoy myself. That's all emotion and release, and it's all I have.
Wow.
So, doesn't give a fuck. Yeah. Go fuck yourself. He doesn't
really
care.
Doesn't care.
It's so funny. There's an interview with him from a competition at North Shore, and the guy's like, you're used to kind of riding smaller waves. These are big, high waves. And he's like, but I've been watching you out here all week practicing, you're looking pretty good. And he goes, pretty good? I better be better than pretty good. I mean, these guys are impossible. The waves are you. I don't know what you're talking about. Like, he was just, this poor guy was like, okay. He's like, I don't know what you're saying, but I better be better than good because this is crazy. And these guys are good. And I don't know. He's like, I'm not a local. this isn't my thing. Right. And these guys know what they're doing. It's so funny just watching this poor guy like, oh, okay. Like, he expected him to just say like, yeah. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks. I'll try my best. Yeah, it's pretty funny. Now, an author of a book, Renson, who wrote a book of his that came out later and kind of grew up. He moved to California in '64 and kind of watched Miki on the beach and kind of idolized Miki, kind of a thing. He said of his surfing style, quote, the way he stood on his board, it looked like he was waiting for the bus. Like I said earlier, like if you just showed a picture of him like knees up, you wouldn't think he was on a surfboard at all. You just think like he's just hanging out. But then you show there's a wave there underneath him. He's just like,
just a real natural.
He's a real natural, known as the king of Malibu. And at this point, too, late 50s, it's still empty Malibu.
Really?
This is still the locals and the people from around there. There's a dozen people that go surf, and that's it, if they have it to themselves.
All right.
Like some of the best waves, it's all to them. He's working every scam possible. Every possible scam. One of the young surfers that hung out there said, he said, quote, Mike Dwayne and I competed with each other to be ripped off by Miki. We'd be like, Miki stole my wax. Yeah, well, Miki stole my money. It was a badge of honor. This guy says. Like,
what?
That's how the kids were like, isn't that cool? The cool guy stole my shit. Isn't that awesome?
The cool guy totally fingered me. What?
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
He molested the fuck out of me, dude.
He fucked me in the ass.
I am going to be messed up for a long time. Like, years of therapy. I'm never going to be able to love my wife the right way. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
This is terrible.
And
they're encouraging his fuckery by bragging about getting fucked over by him.
Yeah, and there's a Dwayne King, who's the Dwayne they're talking about, by the way, who was it turned out to be a high-level banker in Santa Monica, one of these surf bums. He said, quote, Miki had the freedom we wanted. No school, no job, no relationships, just surf.
And all of our shit.
Well, he says, we paid for his food and gas because we wanted him to keep going. If he could beat the system that was, quote, honest work, then maybe we could beat that one day. That we could beat the one that was our families. So they're like, if he can do it, they're living vicariously through him. Maybe I can do it. Maybe it's possible.
They have to show that it's possible. It's a pyramid scheme of fucking people over, though.
It's a pyramid scheme of enjoyment, which is an odd product.
Yeah, but it's a pyramid scheme of like, if we have eight people...
It's Joel Osteen. You'll give me money, then you'll feel better, and good things will happen to you. That's what it is. He's surfing Osteen. Surf Osteen.
Yeah, I love it. That's
fucking
awesome.
him. He would also teach these kids how to scam. which is the other thing. He'd teach them how to search the crevices in the canyon for where surfers hid their wallets.
Really?
When they went out in the water and shit like that. He'd
That's
be like,
hilarious.
they hide it here and here.
Yeah.
You go in there. I'll go out there.
Yeah.
He'd teach them the scams there.
And that's how stupid of somebody to put why would you take your wallet into the beach if you're going to go surfing? Get that shit in your car, you idiot.
I guess, yeah. I don't know how good the
up.
locks were, but then they were just like, no one will steal this because there's only a few of us here.
guess,
Like, we're all in this together.
Right.
No, he's scamming you, motherfucker.
Mickey's in it for him.
Mickey's in this shit for Mickey.
And all of your shit is Mickey's
about
shit.
Mickey. I'll tell you that right now. One time he showed up at this one guy, Larry, who's one of these like little apprentices, as they called it, one of these little shitbags that looks up to him, showed up at this guy's Palm Springs house just in time to borrow keys, borrow the hotel keys.
James just did finger quotes.
Yeah, he borrowed the keys because that's what they say.
Yeah.
They were getting there there was teenagers there for spring break.
Okay.
So he borrows the keys that they had to stay in the room and charge expensive meals to themselves to these people's parents. Yeah, that's what he's doing. So he's the
getting
kids'
room
parents.
service on them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they say sometimes he'd go to kids' houses, he'd unload all the food from the freezer.
Nice.
He'd just take
smart.
it all. He'd just put it all in the garbage bag and leave when he'd go hang out at people's houses. I'll just take all your food now.
He's the Grinch that stole Christmas.
Not what's cooked. Right. Not like a coffee cake on the counter. He's like, what do you got in there? A ham? I'm going to grab that. That's cool. I'll defrost in 3 days. Don't worry about it. I'll take that home with me. No worries.
He's walking down the street carrying turkeys.
Yeah. Well, one of his apprentices said he did it for, quote, he did it all for a simple reason, freedom. Every guy on that beach wanted to do nothing but surf all day, but only Mickey had found a way to do it. Yeah, by stealing from all of you. Maybe if you didn't give him shit, maybe you could do it.
Where's your freezer at that you're going to put all this shit, Mickey?
Oh, yeah, he's probably just going to take it to the beach and cook it on an open tire fire, for Christ's sake. Never mind a shopping cart jerk chicken. We have tire fire ham that we're going to make later. Tire fire freezer ham.
It says like Goodyear in the side of the
ham.
He
doesn't care. He's like, this is good. Delicious. Unbelievable.
It's still got the steel belts in it.
Yeah.
At least pull the steel belts out of the ham, Mickey.
No shit.
That's
man.
amazing.
Come on. Well, he uses them to tie it up like with little strings.
Well, eventually when the tire gets all burned, all that's left is the steel. So that's that's the serrate marks on the ham.
Oh, it's nice. That way you can have lines.
Yeah,
that's nice. Like a proper
you
grillsman.
got grill marks.
Like a proper grillsman.
Steel belt line.
Steel belt. Those are nice steel belt line marks you got there. Those are pretty sweet.
Those are crisp.
There's a woman named Marcia McMartin that tells us about this, and also a guy named Mike Doyle that has these two quotes, and he's obsessed with gold.
Really?
He's one of these guys that's like conspiracy theory guy too. Like he says later on, he's like, I think I'm
money in gold.
He's got a quote later on where he says like, I think I'm pretty smart. I was the first one to figure out the JFK assassination and how that happened. Like he's just crazy. He just thinks
nobody's figured it out yet, sir. If there's a conspiracy, I mean.
Yeah, this Marcia McMartin says, quote, I have a photo of him holding up a gold bar, and he always traveled with gold coins because he said he needed something negotiable if he got in a jam. Paper money was no good. What kind of a jam are you in where you need fucking gold coins are the only thing you can get out of it?
Bars. He's got bars.
Are you like being captured by a wizard?
Right.
Or like some sort of medieval witch that's going to put a spell on you if you don't give them gold bars or coins?
Is he one of those barbers now that just has the sign haircuts and we buy gold? Have you seen those barbershops?
Every barbershop.
And we buy gold.
My grandfather owned a barbershop for 40 years. I don't think he ever bought anybody's fucking communion pendant. Ever. Not once. Not once. Don't think it ever happened. Don't think it ever happened. I'll tell you that right now.
That's hilarious.
Mike Doyle's another one of these surfer guys. He said, quote, Mickey was always generous with financial advice. One day when we were younger and I was collecting Coke bottles on the beach to turn in for money, Dora said, quote, buy gold, Doyle. The entire world economy is going to collapse. Buy gold. This was in the 50s. We were far away from collapse.
We're in 2017. It still hasn't happened, Mickey.
No. Maybe now buy gold, but not then.
Right.
He still lived. This is about the time, 1960, when he stops living with his grandmother, starts trying to move out and scam other people. Mm-hmm. Now, this is where Gidget comes in. A surfer in about 1958, one of the surfers that he hangs out with, not Tube Steak, but another one that's in his little group.
All right.
There's a girl down there, a woman, well, she's a girl, she's 15 at the time, named Kathy Koner Zuckerman. And she's a 15-year-old girl. She's a little chick, and she wants to surf. And they're like, get the fuck out of here. And she's like, no, I want to surf. So she keeps hanging around,
There's no Jews that surf, Zuckerman. Get out of here.
So they end up, she hangs out. So they end up, she's part of the crew by whatever. And so they call her a nickname, as it's a midget of girl. It's a combination of girl and midget.
Get out of here. That's where it came from?
The name Gidget comes from some jerk-off surfer combining girl and midget and going, hey, Gidget, and making fun of her. That's all it was. It was a ball-breaking thing.
That's hilarious.
Hey, girl, midget, get over here.
And it wasn't Tube Steak that did it?
It wasn't Tube Steak, no. And also, you might want to know, Kathy Kohner Zuckerman's father was a screenwriter. And she came home. Her name is Gidget. What are you doing down at the beach? Your friends? This is an interesting world that I never thought of. Maybe I'll write a screenplay.
Fascinating.
Maybe I'll write a book, I think. And it turned into a screenplay, which was Gidget in 1959.
Interesting.
The movie Gidget, which is a huge surf movie about a girl who starts surfing. A girl midget who begins to surf named Gidget. And
that is so insulting.
Kathy Kohner Zuckerman bitches. She says, I was a lot tougher than the girl in that movie. They made her out to be weak, and that's bullshit, and I was tougher than that. But, back then they weren't going to show some chick pulling switchblades out.
Did they say that in the movie, Girl Midget?
No.
Oh,
no one. This is the first time I've ever heard where that word came from.
I've never heard that either.
That's the origin of it.
I feel like I've seen the movie. I don't know.
Well, there was multiple movies, and then Sally Field was in the goddamn TV show for years in the late 60s. That was Sally Field's first thing.
They never said girl midget.
Never once. I don't even know if they knew that's where it came from. I don't know if beyond the father writing the screenplay, I don't know if anybody else even knew where it came from. They're like, oh, Gidget's a character. It's just her name. It sounds beachy, I guess, whatever. So that's what they did. So they make a movie, 1959. They make Gidget, which was a monster hit.
They should have made a movie about a black surfer named Blidget.
Blidget, that would have been perfect. A black midget surfer, yes. That would have been great. Blidget. Coming this summer. Blidget. I made it a drama.
And they don't tell why.
No, never. It's like,
never,
hey, Blidget.
Yeah.
Like, that's a terrible. Do you mean Bridget? Do you have a speech impediment?
They never mention it ever.
In the movie, Miki appears in the film doing stunts.
Really?
Miki appears in Gidget doing stunts. Now, after Gidget...
Does he have an IMDb?
Oh, he has an IMDb.
That's awesome.
We're going to get into his IMDb.
Right.
It's deep, too.
Really?
He's in 10 movies.
What?
Yeah, this guy lived quite a life, man. We're going to get into this in a minute.
Like the most popular surf movie ever, maybe.
Yeah, he was in every popular surf movie, as they'll talk about. All the Frankie and Annette movies.
Yeah, I was just going to ask that,
Avalon,
too.
Annette Funicello, he's in all of them.
Wow.
So, after this movie comes out, this introduces surfing to the popular culture.
Yeah.
This blows surfing up.
Way to go, girls.
Day after this movie comes out, there's a million kids at the beach with surfboards.
Girl power.
Bumping into each other and fucking everything
up. And now
up.
he's pissed.
He is livid.
Fuck yeah, he is.
He's like, I can't even get in the fucking water now. All these kids, and they're all like rich kids and kids from the suburbs, and like biker fucking guys start hanging out at the beach. That's what a hodad is, by the way. It's a valley biker that hangs out at the beach and causes trouble.
Hodad.
That's what a hodad is. I don't know. That's what they call that. I've heard the term hodad before. I never heard it. That's what it is.
Okay.
So
does he blame his buddy that nicknamed her Gidget?
No, he's just pissed. And we have an in their own words on this, on the scene being taken over.
Yeah.
He says, in their own words, quote, individuals are getting pushed out and the clones are taking over. Masses and armies of them pushing. So where's the individual eye anymore? He's finished. It's always somebody else. It's not even them. They're copying somebody else, so they're not them. They're that guy in a film or a motion picture or some magazine they're pretending to be. He's fucking pissed.
He hates this.
He's turned into the guy that's like, he's fucking hacky as shit. That's an internet meme. He's turned into that guy.
Yeah.
Did he just dance? Fucking hack.
Did he just act out a dick joke?
Did he just
use the mic as a dick?
Yeah, that's what he is. He is now. So
he would be furious about gentrification in New York. He would be furious.
Like, this neighborhood was great. You ruined it.
Yeah.
Greenwich Village would blow his head up right now if he saw it.
And he would hate hipsters so much.
Yeah.
You're not being unique. You're being the same as everybody else.
Nice mustache.
Right. I like your Volvo, you dick.
This pissed him off that he was a stunt double for a teen idol. It pissed him off.
Of course.
Like his ego was.
I'm not pop culture. I'm myself. Don't fucking bubblegum pop me.
Yeah, an ex-girlfriend of him said, quote, Miki was as good-looking as any actor, but he didn't have the personality and was incapable of diplomacy. So he's not going to go in and audition for someone. He'd be like, hey, fuck you. I'll do it if I want. It's one of those. So it made him so mad, this whole thing here. It made him so mad at people, he started lashing out at people. One time he used the fin of his board like a knife to chop a swath out of the back of somebody who was in his way.
Oh, my God.
Sent him screaming to the hospital, his back cut open, big, huge bleeding
assault,
out all over the place. Oh, absolutely.
With a weapon.
That's what it is. He was pissed off and didn't give a shit. And I've seen him on film try to kill a guy on film. I saw it while he was surfing. I'll talk about it in a second here. But people, his surfing is getting better and better and better. Mm-hmm. Greg Knoll, who's, like I said, legendary board maker and surfer, he says Miki Dora was probably the purest surfer who ever waxed a board. He had a style that was completely his own. He was remarkable. And that's pretty much everybody. This other guy said, Miki Dora personified the rebel surfer, inspiring a generation to defy convention and take off on that wave. Okay. He's like Hunter S. Thompson surfer style, except he's a douchebag, and Hunter Thompson was pretty funny. So, 1961, he does more stunts for Gidget Goes Hawaiian. Oh, so he's in that movie, too. It's a paycheck. And this time, too, he would do contests sometimes, and everybody said there was a big event where he won first place in a big contest, and they gave it to him in front of everybody and took it and just threw it in the sand and walked away.
What was just like a trophy?
It was a big trophy. Okay. First place trophy, and just chucked it in the sand and walked away and went and surfed more. He was like, I don't care about this shit. He said, I don't care about this. It's like, he voiced his contempt for you. If a magazine would interview him, he would talk a bunch of shit. Yeah. But he would always do the interview to talk the shit. Yeah. So it's one of those where, like, I don't want to come here and interview me so I can tell you how I don't want to be interviewed. Right. It's one of those things where you're like...
He's no Tony Hawk.
No, he knows what he's doing a little bit. He's kind of smart with that. He'd call people, quote, animals, terrible people, dolts, and stupid kids was what he'd call all these people. And that's not the worst thing he'd say, because he is super racist, and we'll get into that too. Oh, boy. That's where the Dotsic comes in.
Oh, boy.
We have an in their own words here about the whole surfing and the whole scene when it comes into this and gets to be mainstream. In their own words, quote, I drop in, set the thing up and behind me, and all this stuff goes over my back. The screaming parents, teachers, police, priests, politicians, they're all going over the falls of my head. They're all going over the falls head first into the next reef. And when it starts to close out, I pull the block, pick up another wave, and do the same goddamn thing.
Wow.
I don't know what any of that shit means, but it seems like
seems vicious.
That's his release. All that shit is gone. As soon as he gets out on the water, all that other shit kind of melts away from him, and he's just him in the wave.
Everyone out there should listen to Small Town Murder. Yeah. You really should, mainly because you never know who's next door. Oh. And that's the point of this show, really. You never know who is next door. You never know what's going to happen on Small Town Murder. That's what makes it so wonderful. The only thing you do know is that people are going to die, and we're probably going to make jokes about it. That's it. That's all we can promise you. We dig into these towns. We see what makes them tick, from local legends to scandals they may have had. And, of course, the biggest scandals of all, horrible murders that take place there. And we put our, what I feel is a completely appropriate comedic spin on the whole thing. And you know you need a laugh right now. So get in there, listen to Small Town Murder. Follow Small Town Murder on the Wondery app or wherever you get your podcasts. You can listen to Small Town Murder early and ad-free right now on Wondery Plus.
He was hip-hop's biggest mogul, the man who redefined fame, fortune, and the music industry.
The first male rapper to be honored on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, Sean Diddy Combs.
Diddy built an empire and lived a life most people only dream about.
Everybody know ain't no party like a Diddy party, so.
Yeah, that's what's up.
But just as quickly as his empire rose, it came crashing down.
Today I'm announcing the unsealing of a 3-count indictment, charging Sean Combs with racketeering conspiracy, sex trafficking, interstate transportation for prostitution.
I was up. I hit rock bottom, but I made no excuses. I'm disgusted. I'm so sorry.
Until you're wearing an orange jumpsuit, it's not real. Now it's real.
From his meteoric rise to his shocking fall from grace, from law and crime, this is the rise and fall of Diddy. Listen to the rise and fall of Diddy exclusively with Wondery Plus.
Now back to the show.
1963 comes along. He appears in Frankie and Annette's beach party.
Real quickly, though, that's a violent way to say that everything just disappears.
Oh, yeah, everything's like that.
Falls into the reef. Jesus,
everything's like that. Everything is ultra aggressive, ultra angry, ultra just pushing
aggro everywhere he can. All right,
everything.
So Annette and fucking Funicello,
and Frankie Avalon, 1963 Beach Party, which is their first movie, their first beach movie. This is when all that started. Yeah. He plays a character called Beach Boy. It's the first of the series in this one. Okay. So we have an assistant professor of history here at USC that he wrote a book about, it's called The World in the Curl, An Unconventional History of Surfing. And he writes about Dora because a lot of people, just for all the bad shit Dora does, and he does more bad shit, all this shit that he does, people just whitewash it, and they're just like, he's a great surfer, and whatever. Like, they just don't even, like, if you read an article of his life, they don't even mention any of the bad shit.
Really?
It's all just like, hey, great surfer, everybody respected him, crazy guy, second generation, blah, 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 blah.
Wow.
But this guy has the real thing. He says, quote, existing surf books have presented the heroic side. Dora, dubbed the King of Malibu, was infamous for painting a swastika on his surfboard. This guy was a fantastic surfer, but he was a bigot. He was charismatic, and a lot of people loved him, but you have to call him out when he's just spouting racist garbage.
He's in a movie, though, written by a Jew, and he's got a swastika on his board. How can he do that?
He spray paints it on the board to piss people off.
Wow.
Because he likes it. A friend of his named Nat Young said, quote, Dora's take is push the black man under. He's a supreme racist, always has been. When I was younger, I believed it was all mirth and that he was just driving. But no, he believes absolutely in white supremacy.
Wow.
So, yeah.
He would not be called Blidget.
No.
That show would be entirely different, way more...
He'd be called Midget.
Yeah, way more offensive name. I guarantee you he called somebody that before.
Oh, probably, yeah.
With his friends.
In 1963, the Surf Guide, which was one of the magazine things, called him, quote, the angry young man of surfing. Number one, he was almost 30 at this point, which, by the way,
young man.
Very sensitive about his age back in these days, because back then, this was like you had to be young.
Yeah.
So if you were 30, nobody trusted you.
Right.
They thought you were a cop or something. Who the fuck are you? Especially as the 60s progressed, it was like, don't trust anybody over 30, all that kind of shit. He had to be like, when people asked him how old he was, he would have like a 2-paragraph answer. Like, let me ask you, what does age matter when it comes to this? And he'd have like a philosophical answer, and he'd never answer.
That's a ridiculous thing to do.
Yeah, he was crazy. He was like an actress who was, an aging actress who doesn't want her IMDb age on there.
Somebody that's just going with the experience as the benefit versus listen, I've lived enough to have done all of this, but I still have the idea and mentality of somebody that's 22.
Totally. Now, that's the thing. 1963, he does stunts for Gidget Goes to Rome.
He's
just on that Gidget franchise. 1964, he appears in the surf film The Endless Summer. And this is where a lot of people know him from. This is what we talked about. This is a beautiful film about surfing. The visuals are amazing. I've seen it because they still play it on like movie channels.
Yeah.
And I don't know anything about surfing, and I don't care, but the visuals are breathtaking.
Yeah.
Seeing like the mid-60s and these guys doing this, and the colors are bright and the waves are huge, and you're seeing locales all over the world that you'll never see, crazy waves off South Africa and New Zealand. It's so cool to watch. It really is. But yeah, they went around and did all this type of shit all over. They went to New Zealand, Australia, Tahiti, Hawaii, Senegal, Ghana, Nigeria, and South Africa. That's for this film. It was a whole summer where they went.
That would be so much fun.
It would be amazing. It was a group of surfers going around just surfing, and this guy's filming it, and that was just their only goal was to go find the best waves.
That's cool.
If you're into surfing, that's the one there. 1964, he's in a film starring Bobby Vinton. So he's getting all the crooners of the 60s here, called Surf Party, obviously. I love the description here. A young girl travels to California with a couple of friends in order to visit her brother, whom she hasn't seen for some time. After they arrive, it doesn't take long for them to get into the swing of things and also attract the attention of the local police sergeant, who is strictly anti-surfing. It's like Footloose, but with surfing. Pretty soon there's a falling out between the local surfers.
Footloose. With surfing.
It's fucking amazing, man. 1964, he's in Muscle Beach Party, which is Frankie Avalon and Annette. He plays Surfer Boy, and this is local beachgoers find out that their beach has been taken over by a businessman training a stable of bodybuilders.
Those bastards.
This is like Breaking 2 Electric Boogaloo. It's a businessman's going to take over the community center, and we got no place to break dance.
We got to surf.
Oh, man. So, also, too, we have some quotes about his. We have a little bit about his sexuality and his weirdness a little bit here. He's not gay, but it's kind of weird. He's kind of got some latency to him.
Gay.
Everybody called it an unplaceable sexuality.
Okay.
And it was very homophobic back then too.
Yeah.
And he was very, very macho, but they all said at the same time he was also undeniably effeminate. They said many surfers thought he was not interested in women because he was only focused on the waves. Some of them thought maybe it was trying to suppress gayness.
Maybe he's angry because he's gay?
That's possible. Yeah, he might be like Mac from Always Sunny in Philadelphia, which watched Always Sunny in Philly. You son of a bitch, so you'll get my references. We have a quote here. This is his... This is a woman he had a 2-year relationship with. She said, quote, his body language was feminine. His wrist action, his long fingers, the way he put his hands on his hips, it was a little bit fey. That's what she said. So the
way he put his how does a gay man put his hand on his hips?
Like that.
Upside down. You're damn right.
Yeah, a little upside
like Forrest Gump.
Yeah, exactly. So she also said that she described him as being very sexually ineffectual and disinterested.
Yeah, except for blowjobs. He loved blowjobs.
As much as to be a eunuch, she called it.
What is that?
No dick. Oh. She basically said he had no sexuality, just didn't care about it whatsoever.
No dick. That's what a eunuch is.
I just fucking dick something. Removed. A dickless person who once had a dick.
He is dickless.
Now he's dickless.
She called him dickless.
She said he just doesn't have a dick and he doesn't care. He's happy to not have a dick.
That is awesome.
So 1964, he's in another movie playing a college boy. Now he's 30 years old. For those who think young, that one's called. 1964 again, he's in Bikini Beach with Frankie and Annette. He plays a surfer. Here we go. Here's another one. This is a great description. Some of these movies, man. A millionaire sets out to prove his theory that his pet chimpanzee is as intelligent as the teenagers who hang out on the local beach where he is intending to build a retirement home. Of course, he's going to take the beach away from them and put a retirement home.
It's got a chimpanzee
and they throw a chimpanzee
It's everywhere, every which way but loose for surfing.
Yeah, that's it. That's exactly what it is. And it's the same movie he was in last time, except they were like, we need to put a chimpanzee in it. They're going to lose their beach, but let's get a chimp. This one's trained pretty good. Who does that?
They are so out of ideas. Fucking Hollywood.
Mickey would continue his scams. He got certified as blind. He literally got medically certified as blind so he could get free upgrades on flights and take his dog, Scooter Boy, to Biarritz in France, south of France there, and to other places. So, and he
is balling.
He would never sign anything, anything except his golf card. And he would just generally scam people. Like he would do like a beer a hole golf bets and then not pay up and shit like that. He will fuck anybody over in any way he can. He's like petty Carl Panzram is what he is. Like he's not going to sodomize you and kill you and leave you in a train car, but he'll steal some shit from you and empty your freezer out. That he will do.
This is amazing.
Yeah, he's 1964. He's in Burke's Law, which is a TV series. Okay. He plays a surfer. This TV series ran from 1963 to 1966. Now, one of the surfers on Mickey said, quote, he basically represented the anti-establishment, kind of represented the voice outside of professional surfing. Mickey represented the lifestyle, and he went on to talk about this guy and how Mickey do anything to keep that lifestyle, whether it's scamming, crime, whatever the fuck it takes. He's going to keep doing that. Okay. He is like Surf Hunter Thompson.
I like him.
It's the best way to do it. I like him besides the Nazi shit. And
that part
racism.
Sucks. The racism is garbage, but the fact that he just doesn't care about anybody.
It's amazing, right?
And the contempt that he holds for the money that he made in it, because it promoted his lifestyle, and now everybody wants his lifestyle.
He did all these surf movies, even though he said constantly that he hated them, but he'd do them for money, and he would tell people that he was mocking them by dancing weird in them. He's like, I'll be in that scene. I'll just dance funny, and I'm mocking the whole thing. It's like he needed the money. 65, he's in Beach Blanket Bingo.
He was in that?
He's in that. He played Beach Boy with Frankie and Annette.
He's getting that Beach Boy gig down.
He actually plays a character with a name, and he plays a character called Mickey in 1965 Ski Party with Frankie. This one has Frankie, but no Annette.
Oh.
They go on he goes on a college ski weekend. James Brown is in it.
What?
And he plays James Brown in the famous Flames appear in the lodge and sing I Feel Good.
Oh.
So there's a live James Brown I Feel Good in this movie.
James Brown.
He met James Brown. Probably stole something from him.
Probably.
I'm sure. 1965, How to Stuff a Wild Bikini. That stars Annette but no Frankie.
That sounds like a porno.
Yeah, it does. It does. That stars Annette but no Frankie.
Of course it does.
He plays Beach Boy, and the plot of this one, Frankie is on naval reserve duty in Tahiti, which sounds so old school, it's not even funny, and doesn't trust Annette to stay faithful, so he hires a witch doctor to help. Witch doctor.
This is definitely a porno.
Yeah, the witch doctor conjures up a floating bikini and stuffs it with with a net or stuffs it with somebody else and sends her to distract an advertising executive from trying to bang Annette Funicello.
Yeah.
What a fucking plot.
And then it doesn't work, and then he bangs the stuffed bikini and Annette. That's the porno.
Now, yeah, totally. Now he's getting famous in terms of these surf films that he's in, these little ones and Endless Summer and all this. Like, people are noticing him. He's standing out from the crowd in these movies. We have a quote from a review of one of these movies. This is insane, man. This is the quote. Quote, "If you took James Dean's cool, Muhammad Ali's poetics, Harry Houdini's slipperiness, James Bond's jet setting, George Carlin's irony, and Kwai Chang Cain's zen, and rolled them into one man with a longboard under his arm, you'd come up with something like Miki Dora, surfing's mythical anti-hero, otherwise known as the Black Knight of Malibu."
Holy shit.
Talk about dropping down and just fucking sucking a cock and juggling the balls and really working it hard. Working it.
And Miki charged him to write that.
Absolutely. Oh, my God.
Heard you wrote my name. That's $5.
That's $5. Sorry, hand it over.
That's incredible.
Let me open that freezer. Let me see what you got. In 1965...
He charged Muhammad Ali for him to be compared to him. I guarantee it.
Shit. He probably did send him a letter, sir.
You owe me money.
1965, he mans a desk... Oh, Jesus. There's a big race riot protest at UCLA in 1965 over civil rights. And he mans a desk for the anti-civil rights group in the protest.
What?
That's how racist he is. And after the whole thing, he would later declare that Mexicans are overrunning the U.S. and said, quote, "From now on, I love American Nazis."
Wow.
In public, he said that.
And by the way, every place in California is named after something Spanish, dickhead.
Yeah,
How about,
he doesn't care.
Wow, that's
He doesn't give a shit. How about Los Angeles?
Yeah.
So
Buena Park, Buena Vista, all
everything.
that shit's Spanish, son.
San Francisco,
San
Santa
Diego.
Cruz, every goddamn city in California besides Riverside.
Right, Corona del Sol. Think about everything that's out there.
So I'm watching this old film from '66. It's a surf film thing. It's not Endless Summer. It's something else. And a surfer shot it, and he's narrating it. And there's footage of Mickey, and the guy even narrates this.
Okay.
Mickey, you see the guy. There's a wave, and Mickey's up, and there's another guy, and this guy kind of passes in front of him and makes Mickey kind of hold up for a second.
Okay.
2 seconds later, you see this guy, and Mickey comes up behind him and cuts his board so it shoots up into the air and misses this guy's fucking head by 6 inches. He tried to take his head off with his board. He swung his board so it would come up and whack the guy in the fucking head.
Wow.
Knock him out and drown the guy probably. So he tried to kill this guy with this giant board, and he just missed him.
Was it a black guy?
So no, it wasn't. Okay. Black guys aren't surfing in the 60s. I know if it's not. If it's true.
Right.
I didn't see one black person even near this fucking beach back then. So then they say he missed him with that one. So they go, watch this though. And another surfer comes up behind him. So he fucks with this guy and makes him fall. He's like, couldn't get that guy, so I'll get the guy behind me. Like, he has to stick it to somebody. It's really wild. Yeah, he said, the narrator said, quote, "What I find interesting is that from this point out, you don't see any other surfers anywhere. On the wave, pulling out, in the lineup, it's just Miki Dora all alone with his wave and his thoughts." So he just cleared everybody out of the water. But everyone was like, leave him, don't go near him. He's going to fucking kill you. So
he's going to kill us all.
He's scary. And he says about all this, in their own words, quote, "It's just because I'm authentic. Most of the time, all you get are clones all over the place. They don't have any completeness. They're not there. There are no individuals. They just copy me or somebody else in the beach who's got moves. They don't have the antithetical mask that Yeats talked about, the one you put on when you discover your completeness. You throw off the one you're born with, that your parents gave you, your friends, that the principal gave you."
That Yeats wrote about. He's a philosopher.
Fucking quoting. He's very cultured like that.
God.
Like his dad cultured him. That's not. He's very cultured.
Right.
He cultured him up good.
That's like Bernie Mac going to Def Comedy Jam being like, "Oh, y'all motherfuckers leave," and like snapping because he doesn't want anybody to do anything like him.
It's so
Chappelle
weird.
Going to a comedy club and doing the same thing.
Everybody get out.
Right.
So his signature board is released by Greg Knoll's company again in 1966. And for 1966 and 1967, it's the biggest seller in history.
Really?
Biggest, because that attitude is what all those kids want. That's what they're buying, is that attitude. It's the biggest seller in history. They re-released it again in 2001. And again, it was a huge monster seller. One of the advertisements for this board, they made a unique ad campaign for it that spoke to like the punk-ass kids, basically, was him being crucified on 2 of his boards.
Oh, God.
That was part of the ad. So that spoke to these kids, though, because that's some anti-establishment shit in the 60s.
Make the boards into a cross and you nail yourself to it.
Absolutely. It was the cat model and the boards around men would sell for about $100. The ones Noel was selling were $100. They sold Mickey's for $165.
And it was still the top seller.
They couldn't make enough of them. He said we couldn't make them fast enough. They were just, we'd make them, they were gone. We were just constantly, how do we do it more? Yeah. I watched an auction from 2013. Yes, I watched 40 minutes of a surfboard auction. Surfboard auction from it's ridiculous. Yeah. Patreon.com/CrimeandSports. There was a 67 model Mickey Dora that sold for $20,000.
Whoa.
$20,000.
For a surfboard.
For a surfboard, because it was an original 67 Mickey Dora surfboard. 67, he goes to Santa Cruz, surfs a little while there, and then in September 67, there's a big contest in Malibu. It's the Malibu Invitational, and it's a big deal. It's like the biggest surfing contest in the United States. A contest attendee who wrote a book about this said, quote, he told me years later that he should have won the contest. Quote, I was light years ahead of those kooks, he said. Those senile surf judges didn't know what they were doing. So what he did was he rode the last wave, and he said he didn't like the wave that he got. So what he did was he rode past the judges and mooned them.
Whoa.
He mooned them
ballsy.
And then just left.
That's ballsy as fuck.
Yep, he just fucking left after that.
It's like being in a comedy contest and dropping trowel.
Yeah, it's like, fuck it, I don't care. Here's my cock on the front table. We have an in their own words about this. That's funny. He says, in their own words, quote, the competitive part of it is all a different ball game, a whole different camp from what I'm involved in. I don't want to think about it. It destroys the whole purpose of riding waves. I don't like noises. I don't like crowds. I don't like bullhorns going off and people giving me orders how to ride, how to do certain maneuvers. I go into contests once or twice a year for the pleasure of shaking up the status quo. What do these people care about your subtle split-second maneuvers, years of perfecting your talents? What the fuck do they know? Same thing with Bertil Fox, what he said about the judges with bodybuilding. What does that fat fuck over there know about me doing?
That guy hasn't lifted
a weight
in his life.
Pecs?
Right.
And all of this to comedy also that goes to.
Yeah.
Now, Mickey Dora, Greg Knoll said about Mickey, quote, Mickey Dora was the Black Knight of surfing. I mean, he did everything possible to piss off society. From the time he got up in the morning to the time he went to bed. His life was designed around just basically doing everything against the laws of nature and man. Yeah. He was just a unique guy. People ask me what Mickey Dora was like. There's no answer to question that, really. No answer to that question, really. What's a wild animal like? And that's basically what Dora was. He saw life through a different set of binoculars.
But he did smell like a tire fire.
He did. That always. A burning ham. Rubber and ham, a mixture. It's weird. He would tell his friends all the time, quote, don't sell me out, don't talk about me. Okay. So he didn't want to talk. I don't know if he was keeping his own thing. I won't say a word. Now, here's what he would do. This is when he gets into really scamming. He would dress up in different costumes to go to different parties. Okay. Like a movie. Okay. Like there was a big yacht party, and it was like a bunch of Arab guys out there. So he dressed up like an Arab so he could go to the yacht party. He put on an Arab costume, walked right in, like nobody said anything. Every weekend they would get addresses of Beverly Hills parties, like their parents and all that sort of thing. So they'd go from the beach, and
it was like a mailing list?
No, just like, my parents are going to this party. Because back then, adults gathered all the time. Yeah. There wasn't Netflix. So people
so it's like their parents' parties.
Yeah, it's like their parents' parties, fancy parties in Beverly Hills. And the guy said, quote, Mickey would get in his car in his surf trunks. He didn't even shower. He'd park on the street in front of the party. He'd look at the people going in and figure the dress code out. Then he'd reach into the back of his car for the right outfit. Maybe a stolen tuxedo. Maybe a sports jacket. He'd change, not in the back seat of the car, but right there on the sidewalk. He could get away with it because he was so good looking and his stance was so regal.
Wow.
So he'd just walk in and be like,
look at that handsome man's dick.
Yeah, they said, that's amazing. They said he'd walk in and he'd pull off like, how are you tonight, my lovely darling? And things like that. And people were just like,
Duffy, is that man's dick out? Yes, it is. It's wonderful, isn't it? Let's go inside and have some caviar.
Yeah, they said women would come up and try to
hit on him,
and he would they said he had an attitude like, get away from me, I've got stuff to do here, because he was
I'm not interested in you and your vagina.
Yeah, he was out there. He was there for a reason. He wasn't just there to fit in.
No.
A friend of him has said, quote, he'd head for the bedroom where the women had tossed their purses. Mickey was a cat burglar.
You betcha.
And that's what it is. His friend said, quote, he'd go through every purse, take every wallet. His rules were sneak in, never dig for anything, go for the first thing you see, flip it open, take the money out, and ditch it.
Ocean's One.
That's
what
he
is.
Out of
he's
town.
Ocean's One.
He's Ocean's One. And they're like, we could do this better.
Yeah.
Tube Steak says
he's back.
Of this, he's going to be back. Says, quote, at a party we crashed in Rustic Canyon, the host had an Academy Award on his mantle. As we were leaving, the cops were called. They asked to look in Mickey's car. Fine with him. After they left, Mickey has a sly look on his face, and he pulls the Oscar out from under his seat and says, they missed it. He stole a guy's fucking Oscar. He stole an Oscar.
Holy shit.
He would keep a party kit, is what he called it, in his car, which was some rocks glasses, some alcohol, and a bunch of different clothes,
and
like tuxedos, and an Oscar. So he could walk in, and he'd just walk right in. You got a tuxedo and a rocks glass. Who's going to say you weren't in the party? You obviously just went outside for a second.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Fought all the publicity while selling boards and collecting money on it like crazy, and telling all the magazines that he didn't like publicity while he was interviewing.
That's awesome.
So
he's got it figured out.
Yeah, he really does. But they also said part of the cat nickname came from his stealing.
Yeah,
because he's a cat burglar. Now, the author Renson said, quote, he hated being a celebrity except he couldn't live without being a celebrity. The guy's a walking paradox. If you wanted something from him, he was suspicious. He classified people into people he respected and people he took advantage of.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and his words on it, in their own words. Quote,
apart from the racism, he's awesome.
That's the thing. Yeah, the racism is shitty.
That's
Other
the part
than
that like really drags the whole thing down.
he's really interesting. He's really Hunter Thompson, but racist.
Yeah.
He says, in their own words, quote, the systems, communism, capitalism, nothing influences me. I just go straight ahead in my own thinking. That's the way I do it. Now, I don't expect anyone to live my life. I've said that. It's pretty lonely, a very lonely, bizarre distance.
He's asexual, I think.
That's me too.
That's where I'm at.
He's just in his head.
He doesn't care about sex. He's just in it to be a fucking against the grain guy.
That's it. 1968, he's in The Sweet Ride, starring Jacqueline Bisset.
Wow.
Actually, he's a surfer in that. Another friend of his, Alan Carter, said, quote, Mickey was a paradox. He was reclusive on one hand and flamboyant on the other. He'd get comped with $500 tickets to an A-list party in Hollywood, then give the tickets away and walk in the back door. He's a wild character.
Wow.
Just to do it, just because he could.
He'd give away the tickets, not even sell them, and just wander
give them away,
in.
Say, and then he'd sneak in because that's more fun.
Here, take these tickets. I'll see you on the inside.
Yeah, that's more fun.
Don't worry, I'll get in.
And he lives like a king in these years, too. He has money all the time. He's got clothes. He's doing all this shit. No one knows where he's getting money from, too. And it's not just from robbing. They're like, that's not enough. Where is he getting all this money? They all assumed he must have like a rich family member, some kind of trust fund or something.
No.
Like, what's up with this guy? But what he would do is he started forging credit cards around this time that finance him.
Okay.
And we'll get into that in detail in a moment here. He releases to this magazine a chart in 1970. That's amazing. It's called the Chart of Cataclysm. And it's the surfing. It's a chart that's like we'll post it on our social media, but it's a line going up and up and up, and there's all events. That November 22nd, 1962, and Ed Sullivan here, and all these like events that go up the timeline, and then and then it just goes from tip top in 1970, and it crashes down to nowhere, and it says Cataclysm down the side, and it's got. We'll post it on our social media, but it's insane and brilliant.
Okay,
it's one of these where you're like a very smart, crazy person drew this, and that's what this guy is.
What's it about?
Just about the surfing.
Okay,
about surfing coming from nowhere in the 40s, getting really, really big, and now falling off the cliff.
Gotcha,
is what he's doing.
Cataclysm is after Ed Sullivan.
Yeah, he says in 1970, I was a little bit smarter and quicker than everyone else, so I've been able to live the way I've wanted to. But I wouldn't recommend it.
No,
he's got a lot of great quotes like that. So yeah, he's doing his thing. He's trying to live his life. He's got all these scams going on. And finally, in 1973, he's arrested in California for credit card fraud and fraud for using a bad check to buy skis.
Skis?
To buy
skis. What are you skiing for, fuckhead?
Yeah, he loves to ski. He does that really well,
too. Snow skiing or water skiing?
Snow skiing. He likes it. They go to the Swiss Alps all the time and ski and shit on other people's dimes, and he'll do that for a while. So 1974, he finally goes to court for the bad check writing. He receives 3 years probation. He pretty much immediately violates the terms of his probation.
Yeah.
He decides he's just going to leave the country, and because he has a famous quote that he says all the time, quote, no problem is so big or so complicated that it can't be run away from. That's just you can always run away. A woman here, this woman Linda Q, wanted him to take her with him instead of some other girl, and she said, quote, "If you take Marcia, you'll regret it because she doesn't surf, and you'll be this little houseboy running around doing stuff for her. But if you take me, I like doing all that stuff." And like she has this big quote. He's
like, "Fuck me."
Yeah, because they were going to New Zealand and to South Africa and all these other different places.
Exotic
she wanted
places.
to go there. Jim Kempton's a friend of his said, quote, "Mickey's mind was criminal, even when his gain was minimal, just like the credit card. So small time as to make you wonder if he was really as crafty as everybody thought. Also, stealing passports is a slimy thing since it puts the person you do it to in heavy jeopardy." And he was doing that too. He was stealing passports and selling.
That's shitty.
Just doing a bunch of scummy shit.
He was selling them? He wasn't even using them?
selling them, using them, throwing them out, giving them away. He's just being a dick. Gary Yosh, a friend of his, has said, quote, "Mickey had a self-made book about 2 inches thick of every traveling scam he could think of. He had typed it out like a dossier. He gave it to me once before I had to travel somewhere. He said, 'Read this and you'll see what tricks you can pull.' My wife also read it and said, 'This is terrible.'" So, you don't give that to your wife. And his wife said, quote, "I don't think he's on solid ground. He's this master manipulator chameleon type guy." That's what they call it.
Here's the thing. When you read something like that, you got to go, I shouldn't tell my wife that I hang out with this guy.
That's exactly right. He blew that
idiot.
one. Now, April 11th,
You're breaking the man code, you dickhead.
Yeah, no shit. April 11th, 1975, a warrant is issued for his arrest. A bail set at $10,000 for when they do catch him because he's broken his probation like crazy. At this point, he's traveling around the world. He went to Barates. He went to New Zealand. He's in Australia. While in Australia, he's horseback riding at a friend's house. It was very nice. He falls and shatters his arm. Hurts himself pretty bad.
That's no good.
No, so he goes to Switzerland for a while to get surgery and to rest up. It sounds like a stepdad here. Same type of thing.
Yeah.
He ends up settling in France and just staying in France for a few years.
God, it must be so nice.
In 1976, Mickey and his girlfriend at the time spent 8 months in a Mercedes camper outside of a beautiful old farmhouse in Barates that was being rented by a friend.
That doesn't sound great.
No. Probably not terrible, though.
Yeah.
I mean, as far as...
you are in France still.
And it's a Mercedes camper. It's not
it's
like
probably not a Winnebago.
He was in the back seat of a Pinto.
Right.
They got an AMC Pacer out there, and they loaded it up with their best stuff.
It's not a Volkswagen Vanagon.
Yeah. Mickey was confident that the French would not extradite him, but he was scared shitless of being kidnapped and given to the feds for money because the feds were going around, the FBI and Interpol were both looking for him, but the FBI was finding friends of his in Europe and offering them $50,000 to turn him in.
Wow.
So they're offering like real money.
That's good cash.
He's finally tracked down in 1981. What he would do is there's a lot of payphones in France in the 70s that were shitty made Russian payphones that could be easily kind of fucked with.
Yeah.
So you can make long distance calls for free and you could talk as long as you want.
Fucking guy.
So you would see like a long line of long line of immigrants waiting by a phone in France. That was what they'd call, quote, a magic phone.
Yeah.
That was one that's been altered.
That's a good name for it.
Yeah. And so one guy said, quote, "We all used them, but Mickey was a social guy who liked to keep in touch with many of his friends and had to keep his international business matters organized. Consequently, he used the payphone in the Basque Country a little too often."
Whoops.
And what he did was he had the Saint Jean de Luz. The local police were on the lookout for people doing this, and they were monitoring this phone, and they found Mickey calling on this phone, and that he had inserted a metal rod into the coin slot and was arrested for tampering with the phone because he figured out the way to do this, of course. It doesn't take him long. If there's a scam, he's going to figure it out and do it. So they found him there. They arrest him.
So he puts the metal rod in and actuates the spot that makes it think it's getting changed.
And they knew there was something wrong at the phone company because they know how many calls have gone out and how much money's in the box.
Right.
And they're like, there's all these long distance calls, but we have no money in the box.
Right.
This is clear. So they were keeping an eye on it.
Yeah.
And when he would come constantly and do it, they were like, let's look at him. And they went and found him doing it.
Got it.
Boom, he's done. So FBI and Interpol are both after him, like I said.
Sure.
He says that from 74 to 81, he covered well over 200,000 miles over 4 continents, 90% of the time reconnoitering the coastal areas of India, Africa, the Far East, Indonesia, Australia, New Zealand, South America, and hundreds of islands.
Unbelievable.
That's what he did while he was wanted. He said, only in Europe did Interpol or the feds ever get close. Only after 5 passports and millions of taxpayers' dollars wasted on the hunt did I, with a gun pointed at my head, volunteer to return to the USA. They didn't extradite him because France didn't do that, but they pretty much put him in jail and tortured him.
Yeah.
And said, don't want to go home?
You want to stay here?
And so finally he was like, maybe I'll go home.
Is this a vacation?
Maybe I'll go home. He also was he was hopping trains in Budapest. He would go on the backs of camels in Kenya and
He's
wander
a survivor,
around.
man.
Yeah, he'd just do it. He'd go skiing in the French Alps. He did jewel thief hunting. He did diamond hunting in Namibia. He'd go looking for diamonds.
Namibia?
Namibia. I'm sorry, Namibia. Did I say Namibia?
Yeah.
Dora. He would bullshit the casinos in Monte Carlo. He would hustle people on the golf course in France. Like, he was literally hustling casinos. It's crazy.
He was hunting blood diamonds. He's doing all this horrible shit.
At this point, how many people has he robbed in his life?
Around the world?
Around the world. All these fucking people. Jesus Christ almighty. His dad's still alive, by the way. Doesn't talk to his dad. Took the other last name.
I wonder what he did with the Oscar.
That guy's dead. He's been shitty to black people.
Yeah.
That guy's poor Oscar's gone. Everybody's wallet's missing.
Gidget's got an insulting nickname, and she doesn't even know it.
And now Nidget is a thing, too. I feel bad for all these people.
Nidget is a thing.
Bad for all these people, but not nearly as bad as I feel for Miki Dora, a student at Arkansas Tech University.
What?
Lives in the greater Los Angeles area, apparently working on making computer games. And also, because if you look it up from his real name, I also feel bad for a woman named Dora Miklos, who is his name backwards. She's a delivery program manager and leadership development at IBM.
And they call her Dora the Explorer
and, also,
everywhere.
That is Hungary Information Technology and Services. So that's Hungarian. So, yeah, same thing. That's why I feel bad.
Yeah.
September 81. There is an FBI file here, and there was an agent waiting on him in Paris, and this is what he wrote. This is awesome. It says, quote, aware of Dora's hedonistic pilgrimage, I realize he may alter his plans. Miki was booked onto a flight to L.A. following his promise to return home and stand trial, but he already missed 2 such flights, and the agent acknowledges that Dora may again once return to France, given his surf compulsion and legendary lack of responsibility. Elsewhere in this article, in this report, the FBI agent describes him as, quote, quintessential, albeit aging boy of summer on a perennial quest for the legendary ninth wave.
Oh, he hates that.
Yeah, he hates that shit. Don't call me aging. I'm not aging. No, we have some great in their own words. Here's an in their own words on French jail.
Okay.
He says, quote, in their own words, quote, upon entering to Le Grand Chateau, I proclaimed my service as an honorable gentleman to do my duty as prescribed by law. The management was so impressed by my presence that they instantly confiscated my luggage, including all of my interesting reading matter, and threw it all in the trash dump, vitamins and all. There's one thing I'll tell you for certain. I am not tipping on this trip. Just fucking crazy.
And I'm never coming back to France.
Yeah, so he spends 3 months in a really kind of hard-ass French prison, French jail, where they fuck with him constantly and make him want to go home. In September 81, he flies home. Part of the deal is he flies home first class, drinking wine, laughing with the travelers, laughing it up, being this
enjoying
himself.
artist.
Yeah. FBI agents meet him at the airport. They take him to jail. So, you know.
He gets off the plane with all the other passengers, and they're like, he's got fistfuls of cash, and they're like, we hope you see your dead mother.
Yeah, we hope it's okay.
Hope your mom.
Hope you get back to France
sick mom's
soon.
okay.
Yeah, sure.
Every passenger that walks by him has a different story.
Hope
your
that
uncle's
surgery.
okay.
Totally. That's absolutely. Back in the States, he's got some charges that have accumulated against him.
Yeah.
On October 6th, 1981, he pleads guilty to probation violation in California.
Yeah.
They give him 3 months to turn himself in, to surrender for the sentencing.
So they fly him home.
And then they say, you can wait. You can turn
hang
yourself
out for
in.
3
that
months.
means he has a lawyer.
Yeah.
He's given until January 2nd, 82 to turn himself in.
Okay.
They push him from jail to jail to jail for some reason. He's in all these different jails.
Where the fuck's the Oscar?
He's sent to maximum security Terminal Island Federal Penitentiary in Long Beach at one point here, and he says a few of the local homeboys were checking me out as if I were a 2-bit purse snatcher. One son blurted out, "Oh yeah, I went to Vegas for the weekend, huh?" In my best diction, I replied, "No, not exactly. Just took a wee trip around the world." Somebody said,
"A wee trip."
Huh? "Oh yeah, how long were you gone, man?" And I was able to make the triumphant declaration, 7 years, my man. A loud cheer burst forth as the guard escorted me to my cell. Like he's a hero because he ran away for 7 years.
7 years?
Like, yeah, go.
That is a wee trip.
So we have an in their own words on this little occasion. In their own words, quote, "I have been found guilty beyond any hope by the people of California who have a negative sense of humor. They seem unimpressed by my international status for all my bewildering indiscretions, one of which is being disinclined to do anything which requires effort, and the other great sin of riding more waves than any of the other species in the history of mankind."
How about the other one? You stole someone's fucking Oscar,
that too.
You dick.
He stole someone's Oscar and terrorizing people with his giant fucking
you stole somebody's
surfboard.
Purse. You're
lots
a
of
thief.
people's, not somebody's.
You're an asshole.
He sent to.
All I did was ride waves.
That's it.
What a dick.
They have a negative sense of humor. I'm trying to ride a fucking wave over here. There's cops just coming into the water, pulling me out for no reason.
I want to know whose Oscar he took. God damn it, that would be great.
That would be awesome. I wish I could have got that info.
The person would be so embarrassed. No, they're not going to want to tell.
I think they'd want it back. They called the police.
I hope they got it at some point.
I don't think they did. He probably hawked that shit in Mexico or something.
He smelted that shit down on a tire fire
gold.
on the beach.
Gold.
Yeah,
he's obsessed with
damn
gold.
Right.
There's got to be gold in here.
Hey guys, just want to take a quick break from the show to let you know about our sponsor, ProFlowers.com.
You have to love Pro Flowers. You need to get Pro Flowers because we've all screwed up. We've forgotten.
Every one of us.
Anniversaries, Valentine's Day,
Several.
birthdays.
So many.
How many times have you done it, Jimmy?
Way too many.
Way too many. Pro Flowers can save you.
Yeah.
It can save you. It's going to make it easier for you. It is my go-to for the quick flower. Oh, no, I forgot. I better send some flowers. This is my go-to.
It's the reason I'm still married.
It really is. We can thank Jimmy's children can thank Pro Flowers for their parents still being together. And right now, with Pro Flowers, there's a special offer just for our listeners. You can get $10 off your purchase of $29 or more.
That makes it $19.
$19, and it works on all the best-selling gifts. Their 100 Blooms bouquet, dozen red roses, even their unique plant gift things that they have that are so cool that you want to send to people. You need to get on this deal. Just go to proflowers.com and enter the code CIS at checkout. Do yourself a favor and help out our show by supporting Pro Flowers. I know there's a birthday, there's an anniversary, Valentine's Day, even next year. Keep it in your head. So right now, you get $10 off your purchase of $29 or more at proflowers.com. But this deal definitely won't last. Just go to proflowers.com and enter the code CIS at checkout to get the special deal.
And now back to the show.
He's sent to Vacaville Medical Facility for a quote.
Vacaville,
man.
I
don't know. The fuck do
California.
I know? I don't know.
All right.
What does that make a difference? Vaca or Vaca? How the fuck do I know?
Go on.
It's
an Tupac song, that's all.
I don't give a shit. I hate Tupac, by the way. He has like 2 good songs and a bunch of horse shit.
Right, he's
Tupac
your Beatles?
sucks. Yeah, Tupac fucking is the most overrated fuck ever. I like 2 of his songs and the rest are bullshit.
Which ones?
I couldn't even tell him, honestly. They're on deep cuts on albums, and I'm like, that one's all right. Most of it's just West Coast garbage. West Coast fucking garbage.
You're nuts.
And attempts at pop. Fuck you. Eat a dick, Tupac. Anyway, yeah. So I'm from New York, dude. I don't like that West Coast shit, man. So anyway, he goes to the Vacaville Medical Center facility for diagnostic study. And who is Tupac being the fucking authority on pronunciation? Is that where we're at now?
All right. Go on.
He goes back to court where he's given 3 years probation and an additional 161 days in county jail. But before he could finish that sentence, July of '82, he's arrested by the feds now for his spending spree from 69 to 72.
Okay.
He's indicted by a Denver federal grand jury.
In Denver?
In Denver. That's where it was based out of, as we'll see.
In that fucker.
Well, no. In 1969, he had a Diners Club card issued to him. That's what a different time it was. Diners Club was like a real credit card. He altered the expiration date and 1 digit in the card number and went all around Europe and Asia just... Spending because it wasn't to him.
Yeah, and you know what else too is because it had those like sliders that like copied the card.
It was an imprint.
Right,
There's no computers.
There was no fucking magnetic strip on the back that you run. No.
He's facing 10 years in federal prison for this one. That's serious. He ends up plea bargaining for a misdemeanor charge of tampering with his own mail, which I don't know how the fuck you do that.
You tamper your own mail.
He threw away the Diners Club bills, therefore interfering with the prompt return to the Denver issuing office. That's the legal explanation. It sounds like he threw his bills away and didn't pay them, which should be not mail fraud, not tampering with whatever. So July 22nd, 1982, he is sentenced to 6 months in federal prison, which kind of sucks. You, sir, may kind of fuck off. There's no waves in there, man. Let's fuck yourself. He's sent to Lompoc Federal Prison in California. Am I okay on that pronunciation? Did Tupac talk about that one?
Did you say that? Lompoc?
Lompoc. I would figure he'd talk about prison more than anything else.
It was more Pelican Bay and that stuff.
So December 19th, 1982, he's released from federal prison. Now he's out in the streets. He's working a court-ordered job in Orange County to pay off his fines.
Eesh.
That is the last thing he wants to do is work a court-ordered job way inland to pay off his fines. Holy shit. So now he's sitting there. He's probably sweeping a fucking floor somewhere, just sweeping it up, wondering what's going on. He's like, this fucking sucks. He goes
being asexual.
He goes out on the patio to smoke a cigarette to just be so fucking mad. He hears dogs barking, and he's like, what is that? It's Bobby Colorado, animal trainer from Fredericksburg, Texas. And he says... How is it you come to arrive here? The fuck is wrong with you? Look at you. You got a goddamn broom in your hand like some kind of asshole. You're at the beach. You got all these broads all over
Where's
you.
the Oscar?
You stole a fucking Academy Award. We don't know what that was for. I mean, some technical award. Hey, best fucking set design.
The best
Kiss
makeup.
my ass. This was probably a best actor. And you took it with you. And what'd you do? Put it up somewhere? Did you put it in the shack? Did you burn it in some tires? What'd you do, you fucking jerk off? What's wrong with you? You had it all. You had it all. Now what do you got? Hold on. I'm sorry, sweet. Hold on. My dogs are getting a little. I gotta go now. The dogs. I gotta go feed the dogs. They're a pain in the ass, and I think Sparky has to shit. So I'm gonna get going now. You watch your ass, asshole. All right. And he walked away. Just a poof and a cloud of marinara sauce. He was gone.
Cloud of dog shit and marinara.
He was gone. Dog shit smelling marinara sauce. So during the 1980s. From there, he moves to South Africa, spends a lot of time in apartheid South Africa in the 80s. This is pre-integration. This is, black people are eighth-class citizens, not even second. He would send letters back home railing about the blacks in South Africa. He fucking hated them.
Dude, you're in Africa.
No shit.
I don't care that it's South Africa. You're in fucking Africa.
He said, in their own words, quote, "They're not like the blacks in the U.S. who will just kick your ass and take your wallet. These MFs are flesh eaters. Give these guys the rights and you'll get white man jerky for export. Everything is going to hell in South Africa. I'm trying to move to South America somewhere before the blacks take everything." I will give him credit. He did capitalize black in it.
That's nice.
He did give them proper noun status
credit,
at least, which was he recognized they were humans at least. So that's something.
But I want to move to South America where there's other people that I rail against.
Yeah, but they're not black anyway, at least most of them.
They're a few shades lighter.
Wow.
What a dick.
What a complete fucking dick, man. I'm telling you now.
I'm telling you, beige babies. Beige babies fixes this whole fucking thing.
Asshole.
Yeah.
Now, so 1999, he's kicking around. Through the 90s, he lived in Mexico for a while. Yeah. He just says he loves the southern hemisphere. He doesn't like up north. It's too hot. It's too cold. It's too shitty.
Yeah, he's not wrong.
It's much easier to steal down there, So,
everybody leaves their doors open.
Yeah. 1999, he's in Morocco for several months.
Really?
Where Phil Grace, who's the co-founder of Quicksilver surfboards and clothes and surf gear and all that, he's grew up in that area in California, and he's a huge Miki Dora supporter.
Fan.
Mm-hmm. He gives him just money.
Really?
He just says, you have a salary. You work for Quicksilver. You don't have to do anything. He gave him clothes to wear, gives Miki
all
clothes to wear
in
case he wanted to, but he didn't have to. He didn't have to wear it. He didn't have to mention the word Quicksilver. He didn't have to go, make a speech for a product. He just had to go around and be Miki Dora, and that's it.
They make great clothes.
And that's it. They do.
Very
he would say that was it. So basically, this guy just wanted to take care of Miki.
Yeah.
He felt bad that he was over there, and he's like, and that way he could say like, hey, Miki Dora's working for me. And it's it's kind of a fun thing. Yeah, it's one of those. So early 2001, Miki is living in France. So he's living a decent life. He's over there, and he is diagnosed with pancreatic cancer.
Oh, that's a fucking death sentence.
That's a bad one. That's the Patrick Swayze disease. Motherfucker.
This is the same as like the Under Armour guy, like taking care of Vernon Maxwell.
Kind of, yeah, a little bit. Yeah, he gave up on that shit, though. So
pancreatic cancer.
I guess it was a really, really aggressive strain of it too. Obviously, he leaves France, where he'd been surfing to and hanging out, and he ends up going home to his father's house, who's still alive.
Really?
Still fucking alive at this point in Montecito. Mm-hmm. Yeah, in Montecito, California. He says he's coming home to die, quote, as gracefully as possible, which is a funny way of putting it, though. Like, as gracefully as fucking possible. I mean, I am croaking and shit. He at one point goes to Germany to seek treatment and was told by a doctor there that he didn't really have cancer. He's like, you don't have cancer. What? So Miki came back. He didn't believe it, but he was telling people this. I don't know if it was just one of his weird things. He came back telling everyone that he had a hereditary Transylvanian blood disease, and it wasn't pancreatic cancer.
Hereditary Transylvanian disease?
Hungarian.
Like after midnight, I turn into a bat.
Yeah,
what the fuck?
Hungary. That's
I get it.
So,
but Transylvania just sounds like Dracula.
That makes it sound like you sucked out someone's blood and now you have a disease from it.
Ridiculous.
So during this late 2001, he's keeping in touch with a lot of his old friends. His old friends are calling him. People are coming to visit him. And on January 3rd, 2002, Miki dies in his father's home in Montecito. Even his nemesis, his old surf nemesis, loved him. The one guy got a little biblical with the whole shit, which was weird. This guy, Johnny Fain, who was like his number one kind of nemesis back in the day, like his whatever competition. Fain.
Okay.
He said, quote, after Miki passed, for a moment I thought he'd faked his death. That it wasn't Miki, that it was someone else, because you would expect that from him. Maybe he had charges on him. I thought he could pull it off if anyone could. Then Steve Pesman told me it was for real. I told Greg Knoll that Miki had died for our sins. He was the Messiah then.
He was our Jesus.
He was our Jesus. He died for what the fuck?
I mean, he did nail himself to two
surfboards. He did, if you want to get crazy about it. For him, he was cremated, and his ashes were scattered on the what the fuck is that word? I don't know how to say that. Ysidro. Ysidro Trail. I don't know if it was Ysidro. I'm so fucking paranoid about the I don't care anymore. San Ysidro Trail. If it's wrong, go fuck yourself.
It's in California, James.
So we have an in their own words. That you say that like that means anything.
Everything's Spanish there.
That doesn't mean anything. I don't speak Spanish. That's like saying it's Moroccan, James. You should know. It's all Portuguese. How do you not? I don't know.
It all originated from your fucking language, didn't it?
Sort of, but I don't speak that well. So what the fuck do you want from me? What do I look like? Sitting here doing a podcast.
Did Italians come from Spanish? I don't know.
It's all one big fucking mess.
It's all a bunch of inbred shit.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have one last in their own words here on his whole life.
Right.
Him summing up his whole life here. In their own words, quote, if you are willing to accept the assertion that surfing is a colossal waste of time, then I'll concede I've wasted my life, but in better and more graceful manner than any of my two-legged counterparts, no matter what the cost or consequences. So
he stole an Oscar.
Shit.
He's a fucking hero.
He said, I ain't sorry for shit.
No,
fuck you.
He's not.
I did it. I got away with it.
Right.
Fuck you. Yeah.
And I'd still be doing it if that pancreatic cancer didn't get me.
Absolutely.
Fucking amazing.
The author Renson, who wrote this book on him that we'll talk about here, he said, quote, I think that Miki is synonymous with being an enigma and a mystery. And if you actually figured him out, you would take away the essence of what makes him Miki. He wanted personal freedom. He just wanted to do what he wanted to do. He did not want to sell out and become assimilated. He looked around and the world didn't make sense, or it made kind of sense to people with jobs and lives, accommodations, that he just said, I can't do it.
He sounds like what Manson wanted to be minus murder. You know what I mean?
Like talented.
Just
and have people
fuck
admire
everybody
him
and everybody admire me. Yeah.
That's what it is. And he had that thing. He's kind of like a punk rocker.
Yeah.
Like that's what he is. Like,
he's like Sid Vicious.
Yeah, he's like a punk rock kind of guy.
Minus
like, fuck you guys.
Himself.
But yeah, he'll still go out and play a show at him because he's got to make him a living.
Because he's got to pay his bills.
Yeah. So May 14th, 2004, Leonardo DiCaprio's a production company as Appian Way optioned the feature film rights to All for a Few Perfect Waves, which is David Renson's biography of Miki Dora. So
amazing.
They buy that, and they've announced that they're looking at DiCaprio to play
him,
Miki Dora back then.
Because he plays everybody perfectly.
Yeah, this never ended up coming. It's option, so it's sitting on a shelf somewhere still, but never ended up happening.
You know why? Because Leonardo has a dad bod. He looks like shit.
But he would have this is a great role.
Yeah,
Who
it's a great role.
Wouldn't want to play that?
Fucking start dieting, Leo.
Oh,
God damn it. This
Christ.
is great.
Any actor. This
is
the best
Surfer
role.
Catch Me If You Can.
I was just going to say.
Amazing.
This is Surf Me If You Can. That's exactly what I was going to say. Next words out of my mouth. 2008, there's a film released kind of about him called Chasing Dora. March 24, 2009, All for a Few Perfect Waves, The Audacious Life and Legend of Rebel Surfer Mickey Dora by David Renson is released on paperback because it was such a big hit in hardcover. There's also the Dora Lives, The Unauthorized Story of Mickey Dora. There's a shitload of Mickey Dora books.
Awesome.
Tons of them, and tons of surf books from that era.
Yeah.
I got to be honest with you, this was really interesting. So if you're like interested in this era, this like California early pre-population
It's what
boom,
started it all.
It's kind of cool to read these crazy stories. These guys were all nuts.
It's what his whole life and story in that time period is what drew everybody to California.
Yeah, that's what I mean. And people would, the one kid, Renson, who moved there, said he moved there in '64 from New Jersey, and a girl on his block said, well, at least you'll be able to surf, because that's because they hear the Beach Boys, and you hear all this surf shit, and it's all from this one little tiny area in California. That's the whole culture is this one little place. If it weren't for
Mickey, you wouldn't hear shit about the fucking Beach Boys.
Kind of true.
Heard nothing.
Now, if you love Mickey Dora, if you love Mickey Dora so much, there's tons of Mickey Dora prints and Mickey Dora this and prints, and you could buy a surfboard for $20,000 or whatever. Or you can get a nice, cool Mickey Dora T-shirt. It's him surfing a wave. Yeah. It's like a picture of old film footage. It's a pretty cool looking shirt on Etsy for $18.99.
It's a deal.
And you can go on MickeyDora.com.
What?
MickeyDora.com. It's just a picture of him now and a message. It says, quote, "Welcome. We invite you in joining us making this website a permanent online history of surfing legend Mickey Dora. You can help make this happen by donating to our Setting Up Fund at GoFundMe.com or sharing your photos and stories of Mickey."
No, don't do it.
Go fuck yourself. Don't give him any money.
Don't give him a dime.
That's Mickey Dora. Holy fucking shit, was that a crazy story.
That's amazing.
That's an insane story, dude. It's wild.
I can't wait for the movie. Because that's going to be a good movie.
Someone has to make this goddamn movie. Come on, Leo. Get off your fat ass and go
stop
make this
being
fucking
so
movie.
fat,
Stop
fucker.
it, you bastard. So that's Mickey Dora. If you enjoyed that story, as I hope you did, as I know we did over here.
Oh, my God,
I enjoyed
love it.
checking it out and researching it. You should go on iTunes and you should give us 5 stars.
That's what you should do.
Tell us you're following the instructions, following directions. Doesn't matter what you say. The 5 stars are
Long
insanely
live Mickey
helpful.
Dora.
Long live Mickey. Except for the racism. Stop being a dick.
Yeah.
And if you, he said the N-word multiple times in quotes that I left out because I can't have me saying the N-word
Oh my God,
on this podcast
you read him
anymore.
say it?
No, I didn't in this because
No, but I mean, you saw it.
Fuck yeah.
Really?
He said it all fucking time.
Oh my God.
Yeah. With the line
He's
about
vile.
Mexicans taking over the country, there was more to that. I just didn't need to do it because it wasn't going to be under music.
Right.
And I'm like, you know what? I don't need this.
I don't want to say this anymore.
So anyway,
Ninja's
do that.
far enough.
That's perfect. So get on there, iTunes. Also, patreon.com/crime and sports. You can make a donation to us. We have some cool rewards on there. If you just want to do a one-time donation, you can go on PayPal.
You can.
Our PayPal is crimeandsports@gmail.com. If you want to get a hold of us on social media, you can do that by going to @crimeandsports on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook.com/crimeandsports, and the aforementioned crimeandsports@gmail.com. Jimmy has some shout-outs of some wonderful people who have helped us out a lot this week with donations and everything else and just being amazing. Jimmy, why don't you hit us with that?
Those people, by the way, this week was a deluge of people. So thank you all for supporting our cause. Thanks for supporting this show because this is all for you and by you. That you guys are like FUBU.
Yes, except it's by
Not
us.
close, right? It's by
and
us, for you. Something like that.
Yeah,
whatever.
Which was the Method Man, Red Man movie.
But it's also by them, right?
It is.
Right.
You know what? Fuck that. We make it for you guys, so however you want to interpret that in
you.
an initial way, that's whatever.
So Carol Chan, thank you. Dylan Field, thank you. Sarah Spalding, Rachel Guffey, Bobby Bryan, Eric Bingham, he's a service member in Texas. Thanks, brother. Thanks for being around. Robert Sand,
thank you.
Benjamin Thomas Sutton, and Jacqueline Howard. We missed you a couple weeks ago.
Sorry,
Thank you
Jacqueline.
very much,
we do
Jacqueline
appreciate you.
Howard.
Thank you so much, Jacqueline. Sometimes it slips by the radar. We got a lot of shit going on, so sorry about that.
Jamie Singh, Matt Miller, long overdue, he said. It's never long overdue.
No, man.
It's just right on time every time because you guys are awesome.
We're just thrilled.
Leslie Booth, James Poland. He had a friend from middle school that got pulled over by Dexter Manley when Dexter Manley was a deputy.
Amazing.
It's fucking amazing.
That's incredible.
He pulled him over because he had a Washington Redskins bumper sticker on his car, so he just pulled him over to thank him for being a fan.
He's just so bored.
Anyway. So thanks, James. Thank you very much. Chelsea Stewart, Alex Nudie or Ganudi, I don't know which, but The comment was best horseshoes in town. So we are the best horseshoes.
Thank you. You've heard our story.
Karen Favreau, which I hope is John Favreau's wife.
Fingers crossed.
Michelle Fowler, Vanessa Lafoya. She's a professor in Canada, and she says,
got your message too. Thank you so much.
She appreciated your in-depth research.
Thank you. I break my balls, so I appreciate that people have noticed. They noticed that. Thank you.
Judy Hightower. No, it's Jody. Jesus, I have such horrible handwriting. I want to say it's
Ms.
Jody.
Hightower.
Yeah, Ms. Hightower. Thank you. Deb, no last name, but she knows who she is. Tito Ray, Allison Davis, Lofton or Lawton, Melmoth. I want to know how to pronounce that. Helen Colburn, or Colborn, as you would pronounce it. Shelby Gibbs, flipping over because there's a lot of people. Kat in Rochester can eat shit. She writes me on Snapchat every single fucking day.
She's the best.
Hope you're doing well, Kat. Rob Rodriguez, he's a paramedic in Surprise. He has a ton of people listening. Thanks, Rob. I appreciate you, brother. Marielle Tetro, Megan Rose Donovan, Jay Thompson in the UK. Thanks, brother. Hope you're safe today. Amy, I love this one so much because her last name looks like something terrible. Her name is Amy McCannell. I'm going to call her that because I don't know.
She looks like an Irish fucking anal taker.
Yeah, it looks like if anal was on the McDonald's menu. That's what it looks like.
If a leprechaun fucked another leprechaun, right. I'll give you the McAnal.
Right.
Sure, she's
Amy
never heard that
McCannell
before.
Is going through some tough stuff. So, Amy, we're thinking about you, dear.
Thank
Lexi
you.
Nance and her boyfriend, Jake McNamara, is having a birthday. It's his golden birthday, which is the dumbest fucking mention ever of your birthday. He's turning 22.
Yeah, she's just
going
to pee on him. That's fine.
That's right.
We're good with that.
Happy birthday.
Do your thing, guys. Whatever makes you happy.
And tell your girlfriend to stop calling that your golden birthday.
Just don't kill anybody.
Right. Jesse Rose, Drew Fikes do the Never Have a Bad Day tees on Facebook, so find those and buy the T-shirt from them. And Tempe Improv, I'm with Eliza Schlesinger, June 23rd and 24th. It'll be me, Hunter Hill, and Eliza Schlesinger. Come out. They're my friends. We have a lot of fun together. So come laugh.
Get down there. I won't be there at all because I like Mickey Dora. I'm not going to the beach if there's no waves. But go see Jimmy. I recommend it, man. I recommend it a lot. Highly.
Anyway.
It'll be a good show, but that's the show for this week, guys.
You can find me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, at Wisman Sucks, WHISMAN Sucks, on Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat. Find me, tweet at me, snap at me, whatever. I'm always around. Appreciate you guys. This has been a really fun week, so stick around and come back next week and listen more.
Definitely. I am at Jimmy P is Funny. If you want to find me or get adventurous and spell my name, I recommend copying and pasting from the show description. It's a lot easier.
There's no Purple Heart in spelling his name, goddammit.
Just don't be a fucking hero. Get in there. Besides guys,
you don't get an Oscar for it.
Thank you guys for tuning in again. Come back. Tell your friends. Tell everybody. Shout it from the rooftops. Live from the Crime and Sports Studios.
If you like crime and sports, you can listen early and ad-free now by joining Wondery Plus in the Wondery app or on Apple Podcasts. Prime members can listen early and ad-free on Amazon Music. Before you go, tell us about yourself by filling out a short survey at Wondery.com/survey.
In the 1980s, a rosé swept the country.
Hey, Mike, I really like this white Zinfandel.
Well, good. Now put it down. I'm going to try another one.
White Zin became America's top-selling wine. But most don't know that this sweet drink has a sour history. What began in 1986 with counterfeit bottles.
A big fraud, a multi-million-dollar fraud.
Sent investigators chasing one of the most powerful families in the business, the Licciardis. But the closer the feds got to them, the more dangerous things became. It's a story of deceit.
At the time, I was paranoid.
Threats.
You touch my kids, I will kill you.
And murder.
With a .22 caliber bullet to the head.
What started with a scheme to mislabel wine spilled into a blood-soaked battle for succession. Welcome to Bloodvines. You can binge listen to Bloodvines exclusively and ad-free on Wondery Plus. Join Wondery Plus in the Wondery app, Apple Podcasts, or Spotify.